2, 1, go.
Well, Beaver Nation is awfully excited. This is a wonderful sight because it's been a gorgeous day. As spectacular a day as you could ever ask for in the Willamette Valley. Oregon State hoping to get that 0 off their chest tonight, Ryan Leaf. That's all that matters tonight.
It does, and usually when you have a 0 on your chest, that means things haven't been going that well. So what usually happens when that occurs? Change,
and that's exactly what happened for Oregon State after their loss here last Saturday. Sunday, coaching changes. This is the interim head coach, and you look at the mouth. There's a little smile in that mouth. It's been there all week, and I think that's a positive that Rob Akey brings.
No, it is. If there was anybody to take over this job in the time of losing Coach Bray, it was Rob Akey. He is emotional, he is optimistic, and he's a great fill-in to be the next head coach here for the interim.
His history starts, well, just after you at Washington State, although you guys have a strong Mike Price connection.
Yeah, we definitely do. He then ventured across the state into Idaho to become the head coach, his only head coaching experience. Spent some time in the NFL as a defensive line coach. And then ultimately, at the end, he finished up with Jim McElwain at Central Michigan as their defensive coordinator until he retired last year.
All right. And, you know, Rob Akey was very careful and very sure to tell us yesterday that no one could see it, obviously, but the relationship Trent Bray had with the players was immense. You heard several Oregon State players during the week talk about that, but I think it's a great credit to Trent Bray, who could have run a couple of years ago, instead chose to stay at the school that he loved.
It's incredibly impressive, and guess what? That's the way it should be. Your players should love your head coach. It's the reason why you're here, and when something like that happens, it's very difficult for everybody to understand it, let alone move forward during a season.
All right, 2 big achievements we need to talk about. One, Ryan Leaf dunked yesterday. I saw it with my own eyes. We'll talk more about that later.
We will.
Second, Ryan learned that this is not Louisiana Lafayette tonight. This is Lafayette College of the Patriot League.
Yeah, I was a little confused when I started watching the film this week. Luckily, you got my head on straight, and we got to see a really good football team in the FCS level.
Yeah, this is an outstanding FCS team. Patriot League champs 2 years ago. Offensive force this year, led by quarterback Dean DeNoble.
Yeah, DeNoble has been there for 3 years. He is exactly what you want your quarterback to be. He's a guy that is in the film room all the time. He's also the most competitive player on your football team, and that's what you need from the leader when you're going up against an FBS opponent traveling all the way across the country.
And this is some of the highlights. Lafayette hung 62 on Bucknell on Lafayette's home field last week. Anthony Hankerson hopes to get the ground game revved up for Oregon State tonight. Lafayette feels they can run the ball as well. And it's all coming up as we thank you for watching the Pre-Kick Show, brought to you by Dick's. Every season starts at Dick's. Welcome to CW Football Saturday, presented by Olive Garden's never-ending Pasta Bowl. Saturday night at Research Stadium in Corvallis. It is for the Lafayette Leopards from Easton, Pennsylvania, making a cross-country trip, the furthest of their football lives. It is as brilliant a day and night as anybody could ever experience in Corvallis. Nobody seconds that more than Nigel Burton. Nigel?
Well, Ted, you obviously talked about a lot of the changes at the head coaching position. Well, there have been a lot of staff changes within the entire football staff here this week as Rob Akey takes over as the interim head coach. When you look at Nigel's notebook, it's all about coaching on the sideline for the Beavs. Going from right to left, you have Ryan Gunderson, who relieved of his play calling duties, but is still going to focus on the quarterback play and coaching quarterbacks. Mark Kreiner comes out and will coach the linebackers that Coach Bray had. Rod Chance and Eliza Tuiaki will take over as co-defensive coordinators, but Coach Tuiaki will actually be making the play calls. And then Danny Langsdorf, who I coached with back in the early 2000s, returns to call plays from the sidelines tonight for the Beavs. Now, don't look for a whole lot of changes when you talked about play calling. What Coach Akey wants is steadiness, he wants leadership, and he wants things that the players know backwards and forwards so they can play fast, Ted.
Rob Akey, Nigel, is a guy that has been here since the spring. He, as we referenced in the opening, he was on the Central Michigan staff. Jim McElwain retired, the whole staff gone. So Trent Bray brought Rob Akey back here in the spring to be an experienced set of eyes.
Well, I think that was really important. You know, when Coach Bray started, he had never had any head coaching experience. He was a defensive coordinator and a heck of a good one. And then Jonathan Smith, of course, up and left and went to Michigan State. He stood behind, stayed loyal, and became the new head coach. And unfortunately, this year's start to the season was not good enough in front of their home crowd a week ago. And Scott Barnes, the athletic director here at Oregon State, had to make a decision, one that, of course, affected this team greatly on Sunday.
I'm going to say that's what you just saw there a second ago is the best sign of the week here. The number of students that are here again, because last week was just, there's no other way to sugarcoat it. It was a terrible day for Oregon State football, and the stadium was empty in the second half. They've come back to start tonight. That's a great sign.
Well, there is an old financial Wall Street saying called the dead cat bounce. And when a head coach loses his job or something bad happens, there is a bounce back that comes. And sure enough, this is that opportunity. And what better than to have an FCS opponent come into town a week before your bye to maybe get a W in that win column.
All right, let's hear from Rob Akey, some of the comments he made when he took the helm of this program on Monday.
And the bottom line, again, is that we make sure that these players are taken care of. They're going to see it, and they're going to feel the energy from us tomorrow. I told them that yesterday. Yesterday was a sad day. Tomorrow's a get to work today. Life is moving at us, so we're going to go attack life, and we're going to go attack our new opponents, and we're going to move forward. So that's the way, as a coaching staff, we're going to move forward, and we're going to do it with a ton of energy and a ton of excitement, and to help each guy be able to be a better player today than he was. We find one little nugget that's going to help each guy and get as many of them we can moving forward, and we'll roll that way.
Well, as you see what's at stake, of course, for Lafayette, they have played FBS opponents occasionally, started this year playing Bowling Green, but they've never, since they beat Rutgers in 1971, that's the last FBS win. Oregon State just wants to win. A notable win it was over a Washington State team last November that was in the playoff mix at the time, but nothing since, as the chainsaw, the symbol of Oregon State defensive takeaways, gets fired up. And Ryan, real quickly, what you just heard from Rob Akey again, positive energy in a season that has gone this direction so far for Oregon State. How impactful is that right away?
It has to be. The understanding, and this is a perfect example of it, you choose if you're going to be optimistic in the morning. You choose to be happy. And this man who's taken over the job is a living example of that. He is optimistic. He is happy. He chooses to be in front of his players, and that is a leadership role. That is one that they can mimic, and they went to work hard for him this week.
All right, Graham Smith for Lafayette with the white uniform tops, white helmets. Maroon is their big color, maroon pants. And Oregon State won the toss and chose the ball, and they signaled a fair catch on the kick. And so Oregon State will start, and here comes Malik Murphy to start as the quarterback. We fully expect to see, as we did last Saturday, both Oregon State quarterbacks.
Yeah, I asked the question to the coaches this week, you know, what kind of week it's been. Was the play of Malik Murphy a week ago addressed? Because it may have been his worst football game of his career. It just didn't look like he was into the game plan. And this week, hopefully, will be a much different scenario, and he got a little push this week for some competition with Jabari Johnson.
Anthony Hankerson alongside is the runner. And from the 25, Hankerson tries to stretch, and the Lafayette defense is there, led by Darren Riley. As we look at impact players, brought to you by Old Spice.
Old Spice, Beckham D on the defensive side. He's the transfer from Penn State. He's in the middle of that defense. He's the one that's going to be looking up Anthony Hankerson on the other side of the football. He hasn't quite been himself all year long, but tonight he is going to have to be that impact player on offense, and those two are going to be going together head to head.
One notable loss for Oregon State. Their center is not starting the game. Van Wells, their most experienced player up front, is Hankerson. Well, that's a good sign for Lafayette. 2 run plays, and Amir Crawley with that stop on the hurdling Hankerson, and 2 run plays gained just 4 yards.
There you have it right there. Beckham D versus Anthony Hankerson right after the impact players. Old Spice was announced, and there we have it. Head-to-head. Big play here on 3rd down. If they go 3 and out to start this game, it is not optimal for this Beavers program.
Top Beaver receiver Trent Walker's on the slot to the top. David Wells also there. That's the side Murphy's throwing to, and he gets it to Walker, and the progress is going to be a 1st down. It was across the 35, which was the line to gain.
This is just an incredible route. Great job by Malik to get the football, then move a little bit slightly to his left away from the free rusher, and he lays it out perfectly for Sauce to go get it at the sideline.
Walker shaken up on a catch last week, did come back to finish the game. That was his 46th catch already this year. As we get another run there by Hankerson and another stop by Darian Riley on the Lafayette front. Trent Walker, as we were talking and learning about the Lafayette football program this week, there's so many analogies to Trent Walker. With the exception of power football this year, a guy that's played his career in one place. The school he dreamt going to is Gabe Milborn, starting at tight end again in place of Bryce Caulfield. Makes the catch, and you see where Walker stands since last season among active FBS receivers.
That's impressive in a game where you were ball's thrown to you quite a bit.
Whoops, and that ball knocked out of the hands. Walker had it, but it was jarred free. That was Kevin Dodard on the defensive play for Lafayette.
And a heck of a defensive play it was. This ball is perfectly thrown, and he uses the right arm to just rip at it as it gets to the body. Great job on 3rd down and to make him forced to punt.
And so 1 first down for Oregon State, but now the punt team comes out with A.J. Windsor to punt. Windsor gets it away. Fair catch taken by Lafayette at the 12-yard line. Ryan Gadsden on the receiving end, and so Lafayette will now bring their offense out, an offense that has worked so well. See how it generates after this trip. Dean DeNoble's numbers last week. He's at back-to-back 300-yard games, 5 touchdowns in Easton, the Lafayette location, against Bucknell.
He wears a wonderful number, too, by the way.
You first noticed that during the week. Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. And he has the number that in today's football seems to be the right number for a quarterback, Ryan, 69% completion.
Yeah, that 70% mark is now the new 50 from when it was 20 years ago.
Drive starts the 13 for Lafayette. Quick play off of the near side. Good wrap up and tackle by Salasso Vingrawala for Oregon State against Carson Persing. The Lafayette coach, John Troxell, he was a Lafayette player in the early 90s. He spent 16 years coaching at Franklin and Marshall in Pennsylvania. Now 4th year at his alma mater. Coach of the year 2 years ago when Lafayette won the Patriot League. DeNoble's going to throw that ball away as we take a look at more impact players brought to you by Old Spice.
Yeah, the matchup here, Sean Kinney, the center for Lafayette, 3-time high school state wrestling champion. Wanted to play football, though, chose his hometown, Lafayette, and on the other side, Kai Wallen. He's going to be coming off the edge, a big part of it. Put pressure on DeNoble, make him get rid of the ball quick.
So 3rd down now for Lafayette. A chance for the Beaver defense, which has been beleaguered, to get off the field right away. DeNoble dumps, and that's going to be a 1st down. So DeNoble moving just that subtle pocket movement to find Kente Edwards, who's back after missing the last 2 games with injury.
Great job of using his legs. Both edge rushers come up the field, and he finds his check down, who gets away in mad coverage, picks up the 1st down on a big 3rd down flag on the field, though.
Yeah, we do have a flag. Chris Wiggins is the referee.
prior to the pass. Holding. Number 22 defense. Penalties decline. Play results in a first down.
Yeah, 15-yard play, so Lafayette will take that, and they have moved the ball out to the 31. And for all the offensive talk about Oregon State, Ryan, this to me would be the side I'd be interested to watch how defense, what changes can make, and can there be an improvement in defensive performance, because they've been, and especially the pass defense has been really rough.
They've been really bad. Statistically 126th in the FBS, so that puts them right into position where Lafayette can take advantage.
All right, DeNoble with a keep, gets outside and runs it. It's going to be right to the stick, going to be a first down run. 10 yards for Dean, or no, I'm sorry, that's the second quarterback. Should have known that because he's the runner, Jason Penza. And this is a two-quarterback system Lafayette uses.
Yeah, and it's just counter is all it is with an extra blocker because your quarterback's the one carrying the football, and they do a tremendous job. The real first person that has a chance is the safety about 15 yards down the field.
Penza has a 79-yard touchdown run already this year. Now DeNoble back in. The throw on the roll, the catch, and let's see, did he stay in bounds? Yes, he did. Carson Persing with his second catch, and Lafayette has moved it across midfield, and that's going to be their third first down of this opening drive.
That was a little dangerous of a throw, but he got it to the outside shoulder. That's all about placement, and when he does that, the defender coming on the inside can't make the tackle as he spins around. That's why he stepped out of bounds. He fumbles the football right back into his arms as he steps out of bounds for the first down.
So Lafayette first play in Oregon State territory. Back alongside DeNoble is Ethan Weber. Well, DeNoble taking a shot down the field, and it's just off the hands of receiver Elijah Stewart. Eli, they call him. He was jostling all the way down the sideline with Jaleel Tucker of the Beavers.
Hey, listen, you're going to get man-to-man coverage on the perimeter, and he does it perfectly by putting the ball on the outside shoulder. Outside hand gets to it. Little grabbing there by Jaleel Tucker that the officials don't see.
I was going to say that, watching that down the sideline, they were both going at it. And that was ruled to be no foul. I'm not sure if they would say no harm. Second and 10. And Weber's bottled up. Good interior play. Aiden Sullivan, one of the inside backers for Oregon State, stops for no gain. Oregon State's defense tonight missing Dexter Foster. They're not going to go after an injury suffered last week. His replacement as a starter is Cord Shaw.
And Foster had been playing incredibly well. He'd been advancing, as we heard Coach Bray talk to us about him. So that's a tough deal to lose him for this football game.
Third and 10. Edwards motions. And DeNoble right on the money, but a good tackle, going to be short of the first. Stop there made by Kobe Singleton on the catch by Mason Keener. And that's going to have a 4th and 2 coming for Lafayette.
Just wide open space, the defender way off there on the third and long, and almost so much cushion that they almost pick up the first down on that third down and allow them to get to a 4th and very manageable inside Oregon State's side of the territory. So here they go.
So 4th down and 2, where the ball is being snapped about 1.5 yards. Give it to Edwards, and Edwards gets it. Just to the left of center. And Edwards lunges past the line for another Lafayette first. So here's the immediate measure of what I was referencing. The first drive of the game, this is 4 first downs for Lafayette.
And really confident. That was a confident play. Usually when you have a little hesitancy around what you're going to do on short yardage moments, they go for some sort of trick things. Sneaks, tush pushes, whatever you want to look. That's just flat out zone read, and it's perfectly executed and picks up the first down.
Well, Oregon State did something they haven't done. They won the toss tonight and took the ball to try to score first. Instead, it is Lafayette that is threatening to do so. And there's the running quarterback again, Jason Penza. Goes straight ahead to Vita Pomei on the Beaver stop. So gain of 2 will be 2nd and 8, and that'll get DeNoble back in. Pitch back. DeNoble trying to get outside. Flips one up in the air, and it's intercepted. There's a flag down way in the defensive backfield. Aiden Sullivan catches the flipped pass after Tavita Pomeye put the pressure on DeNoble, but there is a flag down, and it came down well back down the field in the secondary. So don't get giddy yet on the Oregon State side.
And there's another one on near the Oregon State line too, with near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so it could be offsetting either way. I would say there's not a guarantee yet of this interception stay. In fact, the Lafayette offense is coming back on the field. Long discussion here. All right, Chris.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 22 defense. It's a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 2 defense, half the distance to the goal. It's first down, Lafayette.
Wow. Well, that's the stuff that Oregon State has had happen to them too often this year, just beating themselves. The hold in the middle.
Jaleel Tucker just grabs him and pulls him around, and then as he's running off the field, I don't know about, he uses a gun is what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't tell you how much of that we see in college football.
Well, it's just foolish.
Like
it's
just
I don't know other word to say. It's foolish.
It's this gun culture, and it's these young men hear it, see it, and then in that moment, celebrating. When you celebrate with your teammates.
Amen.
Don't make it about the other team or anything else. Celebrate with your teammates of just getting and making a huge play.
So that's 25 yards of a gift for 22 yards actually from where the previous line of scrimmage was, and Lafayette has a first down at the 13 of Oregon State. All right, Oregon State, you saw defensive linemen shifting late, and then that was Taiji Hill that shifted late, and then the reflex reaction from the Lafayette line. And once again, we're getting a conference here.
They do like to discuss things.
I did note, we noted last week with an ACC crew here, things were done pretty promptly.
Yeah.
Flag was thrown, decision was rendered.
Snap infraction. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
There's Coach Troxel. The one strength of this Lafayette offense, I mean, I shouldn't say one, but a major strength, their 5 offensive linemen have played every game together this year.
Yeah, they are definitely the stronghold of this offense, and the coaches made it very clear to us all week long.
And the anchor, you pointed out the impact player, the anchor is the center, Kinney. And that's why it's Oregon State missing Wells tonight on their end is costly. Kente Edwards on the run, and he gets a couple.
You know, something I've noticed so far on this first drive is when I asked Coach DeMuzio, who's their offensive coordinator, you know, kind of what his philosophy was on offense. And there's one of the things that really struck out to me was he says we want to find space with formations. And I've seen that this first drive. I mean, the amount of space, like an accordion, has been really, really good. And it's opened up some big opportunities out on the perimeter so far on this drive.
All right, second down and 13. Jason Penza to take this snap. And we've seen this before. Stanford the last few years had a quarterback, Lamson, that when he came in the game, it was basically 90% run. How much does a quarterback like Penza, how often does he have to throw to keep a defense honest?
Well, I don't think they care. I think it's flat out that you know he's going to run the football. The thing is, though, they have one more guy to block, and they're just trying to say to you, hey, try to stop it. You know what's coming? Try to stop it.
Kente Edwards now the back. DeNoble the quarterback, 3rd and 10. the pass is caught. Can Oregon State make the tackle? Yes, and by knocking the ball out of bounds from Carson Persing, Mason White grabbed him and then punched the ball out. It dribbles out of bounds, and I'm looking for the spot here. It looks like the 6-yard line.
This is a heck of a throw, and it's a great catch and spin out. And guess what? He almost knocks this thing forward for a first down. He gains a yard with the fumble forward, and now it puts him in a position on 4th down where it looks like they're going to go for it once again.
Yeah, of course, can't fumble forward, so the ball's going to get marked where the fumble occurred, not where the ball went out of bounds. So it's at the 6-yard line.
It looked like they marked it where it went out.
Yeah. The 14th play of this opening drive for Lafayette. And we get a flag for delay of game. Ooh.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That'll change things for the decision for Coach Truxwell.
No kidding. That's significant. And you hit it, Ryan. Here comes the field goal team. So instead of a shot at the end zone, Lafayette will take their shot at 3 points. Their kicker is Jack Simonetta, a junior from Gotha, Florida. And he is, well, you want to know what Lafayette's offense is like this year? This is only the 3rd field goal they've tried. They're about touchdowns. And that's the consolation win for Oregon State, is there they force Lafayette, thanks to that delay of game penalty, to score the first 3 of the game. Welcome back to CW Football Saturday, presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99. A tremendous drive for Lafayette, and since getting a chance to be on CW Football Saturday, this is the kind of exposure Lafayette football, Patriot League teams don't get very often.
No, they don't.
Anybody around the country to see. This is their 200th anniversary as a college. They were founded in 1826, named for an American Revolutionary War hero from France named Marquis de Lafayette. And that's one of the reasons, as we were told, why Lafayette chose to play this game the furthest west they've ever gone. They hosted a huge celebration for any Lafayette alums and friends of Lafayette that are in the Pacific Northwest. They hosted right next to the stadium here earlier today. Dribbled along the ground here. And on the run, fielded in a good Oregon State run back. That's going to be almost to the 40-yard line. Cornell Hatcher on the kick return there, which will give Oregon State an excellent position to start their second drive. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99, and now with spicy 3-meat sauce. And by Royal Caribbean, come seek.
Well, Beaver fans will recognize Lafayette inside linebackers coach Andrew Sayamalo, who played at Oregon State from 2009 to 2012. His father, Joe Sayamalo, coached defensive line here, and his brother, Isaac, was an All-American at OSU in 2012. Now, when Lafayette was looking to schedule a game out west, head coach Joe Troxel asked Andrew about scheduling the Beavs, and that advice eventually led to the Leopards making their first trip to Corvallis for the very first time, Ted.
And Nigel, as we see a first down run, Malik Murphy, by the way, on as the quarterback again, Hankerson the run. Today's Andrew Sayamalo does not look like a linebacker, does he?
He does not. He does. You know, like we talked about this in pregame, the big guys get slim, and the little guys, we get bigger. So I'm not gonna say what direction I went.
Not you.
Well,
you're the exception.
Ozempic helps.
Wow, that sounds like a sponsorship opportunity.
I like that.
We did. Look at this. Now that's the Anthony Hankerson that emerged here last year as a 1,000-yard runner. Remember, he came here after spending 2 years in Colorado, got out of the circus there, and came here.
He goes physical on that run, too. You know, he got hurt in week 1 against Cal, and you and I both know that, and we've watched him power through it. Last week, he kind of looked more like himself, and speaking with the coaches this week, they thought they were going to get a bunch from him. That was a heck of a run.
All right, Jabari Johnson makes his first appearance and keeps it. Semi-turning the corner, does gain it down to the 45 of Lafayette.
Jabari Johnson had some, shall we say, some critical words after the game in the press conference. And he talked about and he held some of his players and teammates accountable. That's what a leader should do in those moments.
It was something that I think was on the minds of every person that was in the stadium last week. You could feel it. Jabari Johnson was willing to say it. And on the give, on the around run, goes David Wells. There's a rush touchdown on a similar play this year. That was in App State. He gets 5 yards there. And remember that the Oregon State offensive line situation this year is the opposite of what we said with Lafayette, where the same five have played every way, the whole way. Jabari Johnson's going to have to go out of the game here with a head hit, apparently.
You know, Ted, it was interesting. You know, you guys mentioned the quote that Jabari Johnson had about some of his teammates' effort. He didn't think it was all there. And the reaction that I kind of felt, especially in the Portland area, was a little interesting, considering Trent Bray had said the same thing, right? That he didn't feel like guys were playing as hard as they could. So, you know, I think he was just trying to hit the nail on the head and be a leader, and somehow it was taken that maybe Coach Bray wasn't able to get his guys going, and I don't think that was the case at all.
And so Murphy back in now with Johnson having been taken off the field, and there's Taz Renix with a nice inside cut. And again, so in this drive right now, Ryan, we've seen two things the Beaver offense hasn't seen much of. Yards after contact on the run and yards after catch on the reception.
Yeah, they're going to go fast when they feel a rhythm like they are now.
11 yards there for Renix. Quick to the other side, and it's Renix again, takes it down to the 20, near the 20.
Yeah, identical play to the play before, this time to the open side of the field, quickly making these Lafayette players on the defensive side who are playing at, what, well, almost 11 p.m. local time for them. Same thing, just get them in space, make guys miss, be physical, get down the field, and it's a solid pickup on first down.
And that is another factor in this game we haven't talked about yet, is that, yes, body clock for Lafayette is something no one is used to. That's going to be a pass eligible for Walker, not thrown well, though. Milborn, the intended receiver. Well, I said at the beginning, the obvious zero that Oregon State wants to get rid of is the win total. The other zero they'd like to get rid of, Trent Walker, despite his brilliance receiving, has not caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah, we saw the statistic a little bit earlier where he leads the nation in terms of receptions. He has 126 receptions that lead the nation, yet only 2 touchdowns during that span.
Tried to throw one there. It's the second pass he's attempted.
He actually had him for a touchdown if he was able to let it go.
But now 3rd and 3, and Johnson's back in the game, but Lafayette's all over it. And so that blows up for Oregon State, and let's see if Rob Akey decides field goal. Looks like he will. Darian Riley's been active, 99 on the defensive front for Lafayette. Yeah, been active in this first quarter.
And what he does is what you're supposed to do, what fundamental football is. You set the edge. You make him go back inside, and that's what happened, and it's cleaned up by Amir Crawley, who gets him to the ground.
All right, 40-yard try for Caleb Ojeda. The holder, A.J. Windsor. The snapper, Will Haberlin. That part's been fine. The protection has not. Here's the first test. Low snap, Windsor puts it down well, and Ojeda kicks it through. For all the headlines that came out early in the year, that part has been fixed. Snap, hold, kick's been fine. And there the protection was as well. 3-all in the first quarter.
Mike in with the CW Studio update. Got some wet conditions. Notre Dame and SC. Irish on top, extending the lead. CJ Carr getting into the end zone. By the way, Jeremiah Love's got 228 rushing yards. And right now, his team's on top, 34-24.
Rivalries I know my good friend Scott Barkey, our director here on CW Football Saturday, would agree with me in that series needs to continue. It's the longest running intersectional rivalry in college football, a century long. Keep playing it. Right, Scott? All right, there's the kick by Oregon State. Teams have traded field goals to get going here. Touchback on the kick. And let's take a look at first quarter stats brought to you by Carl's Jr.
Yeah, pretty even. Same in yardage. Rushed the ball decently, but they've kept good care of the football, and it's actually been a fun game to watch so far because both offenses have executed and defense have executed when they needed to down inside the red zone, and the kicking game's been good. So, you know, for a lot of people who were tuning in thinking an FCS opponent traveling all the way across the country wasn't going to make this competitive, they were sorely mistaken. This has been really fun to watch and call here this first quarter.
All right, here's Kente Edwards. First down, gets 5 on the run for Lafayette. Skylar Thomas, one of the captains for Oregon State, on the tackle.
You know, again, talking with TJ DeMuzio, offensive coordinator for this Leopards team, he talked about the offensive philosophy, and I think that's allowed him to not make this game bigger than it is. It's just field's the same length, same width. Let's go execute what we do.
And look, the question forever we've seen is, Ryan, I'm sure you played in some of these types of games when you were in Pullman, is, you know, it's the physical challenge. There's a flag down, by the way, on this at the end of this run play. But is the physical challenge. So can Lafayette line up?
Formation. 5 men in the backfield offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Okay, somebody wasn't close enough to the line of scrimmage there. But can Lafayette line up, and physically can they run the ball?
They can definitely match up. Anybody can on any given day. The depth is the biggest thing at the FCS level because of the lack of scholarships in terms of what an FBS opponent has. That's the biggest thing. It shouldn't be you should go out and dominate if you are the FBS opponent, but there are circumstances, right? This team hasn't won a game all year. They don't know what it feels like to win a game this year, where the other team has shown that they can win 5-2 so far this season.
All right, DeNoble taking a longer shot on second down, and that is errant, intended for Mason Keener, downfield against Jalil Tucker's cover. And that's a great point you brought up, because forever the Patriot League's been around almost 40 years, was non-scholarship. It was just as the Ivy League, financial aid only. They changed that about just over a decade ago. They're capped at 60, and Lafayette has used the max 60 football scholarships. No medical red shirts. It's a rarity. Oh, there's a big run by Edwards, taking it all the way. I'm sorry, that's Ethan Weber on the run, taking it all the way across midfield. Ethan Weber, who did the bulk of the ball carrying for Lafayette the last 2 weeks. And he takes it into Oregon State territory on a 30-yard run.
I mean, that is the last thing that you could have happen if you are the Oregon State Beavers defense. He gets to a one-on-one and goes down. That's the end of the first quarter. 3-3 here in Corvallis.
Coach, great start for your team so far. What have you liked so much from your team?
You know what, I mean, we're playing hard, got a lot of energy. You know, we got to stay ahead of the sticks on offense. You know, we got this third down there. You know, third and long isn't good. You know, and we got to shore up our tackling on the defense. You know, we're playing hard, but there are a couple missed tackles, and got to finish the plays.
Well, the way you keep out of those third and longs is running the football. A lot of success running the ball. What has led to that, and how do you keep that momentum going?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the O-line's doing a good job. Kente and Ethan are running hard. You know, we got to use up some of the clock and shorten the game if we want a chance in the fourth quarter. But, guys, hey, I'm proud of what we're doing so far. So, you know, we came to play ball tonight.
I appreciate it, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
That is a coach's voice, isn't it?
Yes.
Man, how gravelly is that? That sounds like a... And he's a Pennsylvanian. Great football state. Incomplete pass here. Lafayette College is in northeastern Pennsylvania. It's actually on the border of New Jersey. It's on the Delaware River. And technically a few miles closer to the, believe it or not, to the Empire State Building than to Center City, Philadelphia. People don't realize
it's on the way down to my golf club. Pass by it all the time.
How did I not know that? Well, watch for the invite.
The old New Jersey Turnpike there.
2nd and 10, Edwards the running back. The play action throw, and that's not caught by Eli Stewart. And Tucker again on the cover.
I mean, they've been going after
Tucker,
Jaleel Tucker all night long. This time, Stewart goes to the inside, and he actually has a chance if he wants to kind of skinny post the throw to him. Instead, he leaves it to the outside where they've been going, and incomplete once again down the field.
So 3rd and 10 now for Lafayette. The Beavers again with 4 across the front, hoping to get some pressure. They do flush to Noble, and his throw is incomplete. Intended for Carson Persing on the Lafayette sideline. And Kobe Singleton, oh, that was Vindrawala on the coverage. Vindrawala for Oregon State. Good play there.
Really good play there. Getting his right hand in there. It would have been a big pickup. It wouldn't have probably gotten them the first down, but it would have been a setup to go for it on 4th down once again.
So Christian Bush is the Lafayette punter. Trent Walker returns. Hangs up that high end overhand. Oh, kick, but at the wrong bounce when it hit the turf for Lafayette. Touchback for the Beavers. So Lafayette moved the ball, but Oregon State's defense holds. 3-all early 2nd. You're watching CW Football Saturday. It's presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99. Now with spicy 3-meat sauce. And by Jared Jewelers, shop their new storied Diamond Desert Sands of Eternity. All right, in Corvallis, this unusual matchup brought about by the scheduling challenge both Oregon State and Washington faced this year, both playing independent schedules. And so this first ever meeting, the furthest Lafayette College has ever gone to play a football game. And we're early 2nd quarter in a 3-all game. Malik Murphy hits David Wells. Christian Watson tackles for Lafayette. Gain of 9.
It really shouldn't be any rocket science tonight for what Oregon State has to do in terms of offensive play calling. Run the football, get them into good positions like this, use those types of screens that we just saw on 1st down as an extension of the running game to get them in good position.
A good sign for Oregon State. Saladin Allah gets the ball. First game back in quite a while.
And out to
Allah, who is a bigger, stronger runner than he was last year, is expected to be that 2nd guy behind Hankerson, but he got banged up early. And it's his first game back, and you see where the Oregon State run game has struggled. Yards per game and yards per rush are both near the bottom of FBS.
They've actually been pretty explosive in the passing game, though, up until last week. They were 13th in the country, and
Olive with a little burst there. That's nicely done on the 1st down run.
And he's down, though.
But yeah, he's not getting up. Pointing to his left, lower left leg there. Saladin Allah from Lamarck, Texas. He was the 3rd back to start last year as a freshman, ended up being the 2nd back behind Hankerson. Carried a huge load.
Just a good tackle here, but it hits him right at the kneecap. A lot of things then could go into that. It hyperextends. But just a good solid tackle. Guy who hasn't been hit much over that time because of the injury. Understandable.
All right, well, as they help Allah up and help him off, we'll step away in Corvallis. Well, the newest show on the iconic TV series Law & Order Toronto. Criminal Intent is on the CW. Same team that brought you the original series, now new city, new network. Law & Order Toronto, Criminal Intent, new episode is Wednesday, 8/7 Central, right here on the CW. I gotta tell you, that scene tells you a little bit of the story. It was 65 degrees in Corvallis today.
It was gorgeous.
It's 57 right now. It is brilliant. What a perfect fall day and now night for this game. And as you would expect, Trent Walker catches, and that's going to be a first down on the reception. The Lafayette side, of course, flying across the country yesterday. You know, for all the stories and the reputation, and we're prepared for rain. Nothing.
It's a beautiful night. I should have taken up our buddy Nigel on his offer to play golf today. That's how nice it was. But the dad of a 22-month-year-old, I said 22-month-year-old.
Wait a minute, over under, hold on, over under everybody on Leafs sleep 10 hours. Let's give you the over under.
You notice how Ryan always makes excuses using his children.
Murphy, there's a kind of reception and pattern. The Beavers haven't had a lot of those. Time to throw in a very open Gabe Milborn for 20.
I mean, Gabe Milborn has come on the scene a week ago, 4 catches after having only 2 in his career. This is just a simple corner route, and he's wide open, perfectly placed by Murphy for 20 yards to pick up a first down. That's a big explosive play. And Nigel, to your point, yes, isn't that the reason why you have kids?
Like I told you before, yes, and free labor. That's the only 2 reasons, excuses and free labor.
By the way, the over-under 10 hours on Leaf sleep. I hope you took the over.
Yeah.
Hankerson runs it down just inside the 30. Now here's where the Beavers want to finish a drive. Get in this first half, get in the end zone.
I think I heard a good example from Lewis Reddick today when he was calling a game about offenses that are able to go up and down the field but not get in the end zone. He called it empty calories.
Yeah.
And you still want to eat, but you don't get the payoff. That was a good point. It's really clear. Jabari Johnson and a quarterback.
And hands to Hankerson. Second running back Hatcher was in there, is going to lead the way to block, but Lafayette strings that out nicely. And from the secondary, Jackson up to make the Dante Jackson on the tackle. But that's one of the things that, you know, in the NFL years you learn that yards is an empty statistic.
It is.
It's hits in baseball. The wins and losses are determined by runs, not hits.
Scoring points, and that's a big deal.
Exactly. All right, Jabari Johnson. And again, this is the second year for him in the program that he had his chances in random appearances last year. Now there's a deep corner throw, but that's going to be picked off. That was being lined up all the way and picked off by Jalen Edwards. Second interception for Edwards.
Listen, this is a throw that he's going to want back terribly because there's a wide open Zach Card in the flats, but he tries to take the home run ball. Great job getting there by Jalen Edwards to get the interception. He almost eats the ball, then rather catches it, but he gets it down. Wide open Zach Card in the flat. Just pressing a little bit too much, not taking what the defense gives him ultimately, and it costs them big time as the Leopards are going to take over on offense.
So Johnson's action there, he realized it. And Jalen Edwards looked like the intended receiver there. He lined that ball up the entire way. And so the chainsaw hasn't been as active in Corvallis as the Beavers would like. You see that turnover total. Lafayette trying to get out of their own end zone here. And they do on the first down run, get it out near the 5 with Kente Edwards. Takari Hickle on the Oregon State tackle.
Now also things that the audience may not know, the FCS level hasn't been able to institute the communication headsets in the helmets. They don't have that in their budget. They are allowed to pay for that and use them in a FBS matchup. Just depends on whether or not they do or not.
That one stood up. That's what the Oregon State defensive front wants to do. And Shamar Meikle was the first man wearing 13 on the Beaver defense. He was the first man to start the wall. Right off the block.
I mean, they had 9 guys pretty much at the line of scrimmage. I don't necessarily like when you put 2 wide receivers to the same side like that, especially backed up. You limit what you're going to do. It's most likely going to run the football. Now they drop back a little bit with some safety help.
And here you go, 4 wide, 2 each side for Lafayette. Tight end now comes back in, and ooh, that had a dangerous look at the beginning for Oregon State, as Edwards had to burst through the line, but he is brought down. Kai Wallen, one of the names that Rob Akey talked to us about. You think of on the defensive side, somebody that could use these last 5 games to establish and launch. He mentioned Kai Wallen's name.
Yeah, he mentioned him as an impact player for them. There was many guys that were going to have to step up, but he was one in particular he wanted to see from on the defensive side of the football.
All right, Bush to punt. And Walker hoping he gets a shot to run this back. Standing, Trent Walker is in the Beaver logo. And a low line drive. Walker has a great chance here. And Walker going to turn. And he'll be inside the 20. Perfect setup for Oregon State. Low line drive punt gave Walker a running start. A 36-yard punt, 21-yard return. And the Beavers will be at, let's see, they're going to mark this inside the 20. It'll be at the 18.
Ted, you talked about it perfectly. This is a low line drive, which allowed him to get the ball on the run without the defense getting properly aligned. And he takes off down the left sideline and picks up a bunch of yards to get inside the 20 to set up this next drive.
All right, I'm saying, here's your red zone series. And Walker gets a touchdown pass. Here you go.
He's in the slot.
Hankerson, number 15. Trent Walker again, you know, this is a young guy that, it's funny, the Lafayette side, talking to them this week, you know, they have so many players at the FBS level. These are more rare right now, as you see the red zone number for Oregon State. Trent Walker grew up here, family Oregon State, walked on at the beginning. Trent Bray is the coach that gave him a scholarship. He emerged last year, could have gone somewhere else, probably made a little bit of NIL. And here's Hankerson running hard, and it'll be 1st and goal.
You can hear that contact from up here by Anthony Hankerson, who lowers his shoulder and absolutely punishes to get inside the 5-yard line.
That's the physical nature of the run game. That was a big feature for the Beavers last year. 1st and goal at the 4. Walker to the bottom. But going to line up and run it again. Hankerson gets about half of it. Adam Hawks, you see him getting up. Number 54, Adam Hawks, 2nd year in the program here, and he's had to step in and fill Van Wells' spot tonight as the center. Walker to the top. Zach Reichel, 34 there at the bottom, just off the line. Motions across, and Lafayette bottles it up. Well, this is, as the first hit was made by Philip Pfeiffer, this is the kind of thing that can trigger flashbacks for Oregon State fans, this goal line running. You don't want that to happen if you're the Beavers. Nigel?
Yeah, you know, Ted, if you look at this defensive line from Lafayette, they're pretty undersized. I mean, you're talking about guys 257, their D tackles are 270, but they're doing a great job staying low, running their feet, and getting their pads down. We'll see what happens on this 3rd down.
Hankerson, there's the cutback. And that's what the Beavers needed. Didn't run into the line, but the cut back gets Hankerson in for the touchdown. His 3rd rush touchdown of the year.
Jalen Joseph gets pushed down, so that edge never really gets set. But what Anthony Hankerson actually becomes is he becomes the quarterback in that instance. That is a zone read, but it seems with the Oregon State Beavers, it's just zone, and the quarterback is used as a decoy. Anthony Hankerson uses that cutback where the quarterback would be, walks into the end zone for their first touchdown of the game.
Caleb Ojeda now to tack on the point. Snap handled well there by Windsor. And the point through good. So Oregon State does finish the drive. 5 plays, 18 yards, and the lead.
Coming up at the half, we got the Liberty Mutual Insurance halftime show. Only pay for what you need. Michael Bumpus will join me in studio. We'll get his thoughts on the first half. We had a wild finish across country for Washington State against Virginia. We'll show you how that played out. And if you're an NXT fan, trust me, a special guest is going to be stopping by our studio, and he's crowning a champ. You don't want to miss this.
All right, Mike, I'm not sure between Leaf and Bumpus who's more disappointed in the finish in Charlottesville, because give Jimmy Rogers credit in his first year at Washington State, playing a brutal schedule. The Cougs have been right there.
They have been. These are the goodwill of these last 2 weeks are something, but black and white, they come home 0-2.
A fair catch on the kick. Touchback.
Now let's take a look at today's Royal Caribbean game summary. It all lends itself to that last drive. It was set up by Sauce Walker as he takes the punt back and gets them inside the 20. And then ultimately, it's all about Anthony Hankerson as he picks up this longest rush of the game. Carried all 5 times on this drive, ultimately for the walk-in touchdown to put them up 10-3. That is your Royal Caribbean game summary.
Yep. 5 runs, all by Hankerson. When we were here last week, the coaches were telling us Hankerson has that true running back mindset. He doesn't ever want to come out of the game. And we've had a lot of very good running backs through the years at all levels that coaches fight that with. You want to limit the workload, or manage maybe better the workload, but then the guy says, look, I can play all 3 downs.
And I'm thinking, I think if Rob Akey is talking to his coordinators in this game, it's like, hey, this is a different week, okay? There's going to be ups and downs. I don't care. Win the football game. If Hank wants to play every single snap, let him play every single snap.
All right, no gain on the first down play. So now Penza gets in the game, and he's keeper stopped for a gain of 2.
To your point, when they do line him up back there, now they've done it, I think, 4 times so far in this game, and it's been 100% run. They spread it out and the receivers run, and so you have to honor that out there. But I mean, your eyes are telling you attack that quarterback immediately. If you have to shed a block, that's it. Get him on the ground.
So 3rd down with DeNoble in the game. Pulled the ball back, takes that shot into the single cover, and the underthrown ball there is caught. So Eli Stewart made the reaction. And it's a gain, a big gain down to the 40 of Oregon State. 33 yards.
I believe it's Kobe Singleton here. He's just running man-to-man, and if the ball's not perfectly thrown over the top, man-to-man is a great behind the defender like that. That allows him to make the catch and have a big gain on 3rd down.
All right, run player for a short gain. Isn't this ball thrown this way on purpose?
I don't think it actually is. I never think it is. Usually a back shoulder one. I think this is just as underthrown. I think Singleton probably has a little bit to argue with that, where he kind of grabs him around the back and kind of slides him forward, but that was away from the official who couldn't see it on the other side.
The Beavers sideline that had the view agreed with you.
Yeah, they agreed with that one.
2nd and 8. Edwards the back. So DeNoble on the roll throws, and there comes the flag, and that probably doesn't loom well again for the Oregon State secondary. Yep, holding against Oregon State is the signal.
prior to the pass. Holding. Number 0 defense. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So the holding call against Singleton in the coverage.
DeNoble looks like he wants the receiver to do something else, maybe something similar to what he got the last time. He was very adamant with him on, come on, come back the ball. And that's always something. When you're a quarterback and you're scrambling, you want somebody coming back to the football, and then you want somebody making a home run hit towards the back end of the end zone.
Well, a pre-snap penalty hurt Lafayette.
Number 10 offense.
On their
5-yard penalty, still first down.
First drive forced him to settle for a field goal, and now this is going to push him back to 1st and 15.
A lot of penalties, a lot of hands, tugging, fighting.
And Lafayette comes in their season. They've been an extremely disciplined team. Fewest penalties in their Patriot League. Weber on the carry there, gets just a couple. Joe Johnson on the defensive front for Oregon State. The Leopards, see that firmly there on the Lafayette logo. It was fun. Met the parents of Mason Keener, wide receiver, in the hotel today. And Mason's mom was wearing a hat that said Pards. And I said, is that slang? She goes, yeah, it's acceptable to say go Pards, Le Pards.
Oh, okay.
I asked, and they said, no, it's okay.
Yeah. What a throw.
Oh, that was terrific. Right. Oh, man, did he thread a needle there to Eli Stewart. And that's going to be just short. Yep, the mark's going to be just short of the line to gain.
A little pump out there to the side, and then behind everything in between the two defenders. I don't know if you could have placed that better on a dime. Job by the 3rd-year starter. Really has become the true leader of this football team, and coach has trust him a lot.
Well, they just need a yard, and they get it with Edwards, and so Lafayette will now have the red zone offense going. First down at the 15. Of course, in the Patriot League, and there they are. They are the two rivals of the Patriot League, Lafayette and Lehigh, just about 20 miles apart. Near the top, their game at the end of this year, they will play for the 161st time. And we asked Coach Troxel this week, you know, what's the game called? He goes, the rivalry.
The rivalry.
That's all it needs.
Yep.
It's like Yale and Harvard, the game. That's all you have to say. At Lehigh and Bethlehem and Lafayette in Easton. Just a quick drive apart. Stay tuned for the final 2 minutes of the half, presented by the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Hey, we're in the final 2 minutes of the half. The 2-minute drill is presented by the Active Cash Credit Card from Wells Fargo. Be a 2%er. Earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases. Terms apply.
I'm a Wells Fargo banker.
Me too. I am as well. Well, students tonight, nobody wants to leave here tonight being an angry beaver. You can tell. Everyone wants to smile for
They want to smile
Saturday
and
night.
they want to go to the Angry Beaver.
And Lafayette's going to fly home tonight. Actually, they're chartering right back to Easton. They have an off week next. All right, final 2 minutes. Lafayette hoping to tie the game. And DeNoble does a good job there. That screen not there, so he just dumps it.
Yeah, very, very smart of DeNoble to see that Oregon State sniffs that screen pass out, and he's able to get the ball on the ground. The fight once again here on 2nd down.
Edwards stays in the block, and that ball broken up. And that's Glassboro. We haven't seen Trey Glassboro much in this first half. The freshman that he was the target of opposing teams much of the first half of the year.
You're getting a lot of man coverage out on the perimeter, and just a good job of being in phase. And then late hands, his hands go up perfectly through the catch radius there, and he knocks it out of the way. It was well played.
Intended for Matthew Skirbo, 3rd down. Oh, I thought he was going to keep it. Instead, DeNoble throws a touchdown pass. And he gets it to Skirbo. And Lafayette, a kick away from tying.
What's so great about this, Ted, is that you're exactly right. He's going to run it, but his eyes stay up the whole time. And when he sees somebody flash right in front of him, instead of trying to run for it himself, he puts it in the hands of a skill position player, and Skirbo, and into the end zone he goes.
Freshman, Phillipsburg, New Jersey, Matthew Skirbo, his 3rd touchdown catch of the year.
Go Pards.
Go Pards.
Go Pards.
That's what they're saying.
Yep.
One side, Simonetta now to try and tie the game. Oregon State does have all 3 timeouts, so they'll have a good chance here to answer with a score. And remember, Lafayette does get the ball to start the 3rd quarter. As you see what their football mission is exactly, beat Lehigh. It's a very small college, just 2,700 students. Liberal arts and engineering are the emphasis. They have no graduate schools. And Lehigh, it's actually 14 miles from one stadium to the other in their rivalry. And yes, Easton, Pennsylvania, also the headquarters of Crayola Crayons. That has put out a special edition of crayons to honor the 200th anniversary of Lafayette. As you see some other facts about Lafayette.
Beth Mowens.
Yes, Beth was a terrific point guard at Lafayette.
She's a terrific analyst.
Yes.
And play-by-play. And then Joe Silver. That goes into my filmography time.
All right.
He's a producer, a really famous producer. He's the Matrix movies. He was in development. Die Hard. Oh, the Lethal Weapon movies too. I mean, we're talking.
Right, you're right in your wheelhouse.
Right in my wheelhouse, right there. Danny Glover, Mel Gibson.
If we have something before the year, we're going to do the Friday night on the CW. We'll do Leafs film reviews.
Right.
It's your Friday afternoon film review.
I am. Corvallis has a lovely AMC theater here. I am an AMC A-lister, which means I can see four movies a week.
When you were watching movies, Sam Polis and I were antiquing.
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good.
Yes, we did. They farmed beautifully at Oregon. Short kick here. And the Beavers will call for the fair catch, but Oregon State has a good time. They have more than enough time here. Minute 48, 3 timeouts. Fastest growing cable network in all of television is News Nation. News Nation respects all Americans and is news for all Americans. To find News Nation on your screen, go to newsnationnow.com.
I did their morning show yesterday. Yeah, we were.
What'd they ask you about?
We were promoting the games today.
Okay.
The Wazoo, Virginia game, and our game here with Lafayette and Oregon State. So a minute 48, like you talked about, all their timeouts, a great opportunity to run the 2-minute drill.
All right, with Murphy as the quarterback. And Murphy throws, Milbourne catches, short gain. Say this in the first half. We talked about the completion percentage and the target of such. Murphy is only 58% on the air. Not good. He's 8 for 9 in the first half.
No, he's been really accurate. I've noticed him getting over his front foot much better.
And a lot of those, again, like that, shorter throws. Now that's, in essence, a run play, and it's a tackle for loss by Jalen Edwards on Trent Walker. So that's going to leave Oregon State 3rd and 7.
That's just lazy on the perimeter by the wide receiver. He's got to get that block. I mean, it's the only thing that could blow that play up, and that's exactly what happens. He misses the block. Sauce Walker's taken down behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, now if you don't convert,
it's a much different story.
Will John Troxel use a timeout here? Give himself a chance. Murphy is knocked down. He goes down back in the pocket. Oliver Hammerlane on the sack for Lafayette. And that's what we're wondering at 48 seconds. This whole end of first half turns dramatically. Touchdown, 3 and out. With the white hat on is Danny Langsdorff, veteran, well-known in these parts. He was around Oregon State for a long time in the Mike Riley years. He's been here this year, but this week in one of the coaching changes, he's now calling the plays, doing so from the sideline.
Yeah, he's elevated from an analyst to the offensive coordinator position to call plays this week, streamline the offense, run the football. As you can see, we've seen a lot of passes within 2 yards or plus or minus of the line of scrimmage. It's what helped elevate Malik Murphy's completion percentage there. Great defensive play. Now we're in a situation for Lafayette, uses a timeout, knowing they get the ball, and they get the ball to start the second half.
I mean, you're down 10-3 at the 2-minute warning. You have a chance to take the lead and go 2 for 1 here.
It's incredible if they're able to get any sort of points and get the ball to start the second half.
A.J. Windsor to punt, and Mason Keener is the returner. Windsor hangs one up. Keener runs up to Buffett, loose. And that has been something that has not been very helpful for that Oregon State defense. One of the reasons that the chainsaw hasn't worked much this year. Very few fumbles. Oregon State has not recovered an opponent fumble this year in game 8 now.
He just misplays it, sees something differently, and that ball gets on him in a hurry. Luckily for him, he gets back on the football, and it doesn't cost him. It could have been incredibly costly after making that huge stop on the defensive side of the football.
Lafayette does have 40 seconds and 2 timeouts now. Again, we mentioned their offense in their league, in their competition. Their offense has been so good. The field goal they kicked tonight was only the 3rd they've even tried this year. They haven't had to. The kicker, Simonetta, his career long is 37, so we would guess they're going to have to push the ball a little bit to get into field goal range.
And listen, they get one-on-one down the sidelines here, and that's...
Wow, well, there it is. Big play. Eli Stewart with the catch, and Lafayette is in Oregon State territory, and that only took 7 seconds, and he gets out of bounds.
This is good defense. Just a wonderful job on the throw. And Stewart kind of gets away with a little tug there, and it pulls Jaleel Tucker to the ground, and he's able to explode for yards after the catch and get out of bounds.
That's perfect for Lafayette. Big gain out of bounds to save a timeout. There's a back shoulder throw that is misfired towards Stewart with the freshman corner Trey Glasper on the cover.
I mean, you're getting man-to-man on the perimeters, and this is exactly what TJ DeMuzio, the offensive coordinator, wanted. You know, he wanted to accordion style this offense in terms of formations, put them on islands. He just didn't think they had the ability. Their skill position players at wide receiver, he thought they could match up in these types of situations.
Second down, there's a nice play. The tight end, Ethan Hosak, has been doing much of the half. He motions into the line. He picks up the backer coming in on the run block, and that lets Weber run it down inside the 40. And Lafayette will use its second timeout. Lafayette finished a 4-game homestand last week, and this is what they hung up on Bucknell.
Only 62 points, most since 1944, and a school record of 670 yards. That is a day, my friends. 5 touchdown passes by Dean DeNoble. That will get you hyped for a big game across the country for the 200th bicentennial celebration, that's for sure. .24 of the 35 plays that Lafayette has run in this first half have been in Oregon State territory. I don't think you could have predicted that before the game. No, I don't think you could. I don't think you would. I don't think people would fully understand that this team sitting at about, I don't know, 11:40 p.m. Eastern time in terms of their body clock, you know, firing on all cylinders. It's been pretty technically sound from the start.
DeNoble has Kente Edwards to block as he rolls out, throws on the roll and gets his receiver. Carson Persing pushes that down to the 35. They still could probably use 10 yards to be in good field goal range, but they have the options again. 22 seconds plus a timeout.
They got everything in their playbook. They could run the football here. They could get the quarterback out on the perimeter like they just did to make the throw. They have all of those things at Coach DeMuzio's playbook right now with the timeout in their pocket.
And he's taking a shot for it all, and Let's see if that's going to be a flag. There was a lot of bumping there with Tucker against Stewart. Eli Stewart, the receiver, Jalil Tucker, and that one, on first glance, I think the official had to throw that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Jalil Tucker's had a tough go of it tonight.
Yeah, you know, Ted and Ryan, when back in the day when your guy was coaching defensive backs, we talked about angles.
Pass interference. Number 22 defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And how important it is for defensive backs to take angles to cut off receivers, not collision receivers. So what you're seeing a lot of times, I think that Glasper, a lot of these guys are struggling with, is taking the proper angle to cut a guy off so they can be there in position when the ball comes. They're kind of running into guys, running up their backs and either getting stacked or getting these PI calls. So that's what they really got to, they got to fix their angles that they're taking to the ball.
Well, Lafayette has a chance to run a couple of plays here. They can think about the end zone. From the 20, just inside the 20. 2 tight end shift. That was a good handle of a low snap. And DeNoble's going to dump it. Live to play second down. We mentioned, and this is something, Nigel, you see well as a defensive backs guy yourself. If Oregon State's doing anything different defensively, any scheme difference you've noticed in the first half?
No, you know, it's been a lot of man because they want to stay simple. But, you know, again, I think the young defensive backs are struggling with angle. And on that last play, you had a short motion. If I'm Lafayette, I'm going back to it and sending that motion man back out to the flat because the corner overran it and ended up inside, not played to his help.
All right, DeNoble wrapped up, shovels it ahead, and it's incomplete. Ooh, that was dangerous. Pressure was JoJo Johnson. That broke up the play, and that's been something the Beavers defense has looked for all year, to get better push from the defensive front.
And this is a really good job on his part of getting the ball out of his hand. For one reason, the reason is that taking the loss. They have the timeout to stop the clock, but it almost ended up being in a turnover because it went right to the hands of a Beaver defender.
Well, Jack Simonetta will try to kick a second field goal tonight. Just the 4th of the year, and he would match his best here at 37. Oregon State's going to freeze him.
I think his coach has probably frozen him all season long. I don't know how much that's going to affect him in this moment.
Well, it's a all right, Michael Mothershed is, of course, our rules expert, longtime official. Michael, what do you see on this play?
You know, there's a possible intentional grounding, but I do see, I think, the back in number 26.
But he was pretty far inside, Michael.
Yeah.
I get your point. You know, he's trying to get rid of the ball so he doesn't take a sack, and that looked like it was thrown directly to an Oregon State defender rather than. And I think that's what Rob Akey's trying to make very clear to the officials.
I would agree.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't catch that the first time. I guess the defensive lineman does not count as an eligible receiver.
He doesn't.
There it is.
He could have been hoping in all hopes that Kente Edwards was going to leak out and be in that position.
Right.
And that's where he was throwing it to.
All right, Michael, thank you for that. Here's the field goal try. And Simonetta drills it. 37 yards. And so this is
shocking.
I mean, there's no other way to say this from the Oregon State side. What Oregon State, the word that they have not done yet this year is finish. They have not been able to finish. It's cost them a couple of games. They have not finished this half. This is 10 points in the final 2 minutes for Lafayette, and they're going to get the ball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think anybody out there, even though they hadn't won a game, I don't care who you are. Listen, my freshman year at Washington State, we played both national champions that year. We played Nebraska, who would go on and win the FBS national championship, and we played the University of Montana, who would go on and win the FCS national championship. Our team went 3-8, so we were not a good football team. But we dismantled the eventual FCS national champions so much that as a freshman, I got in the football game. We beat them that bad. So, like, the difference in scholarships, the difference in resources. But when you haven't won a football game and your head coach has just been fired, there's a lot to climb and overcome in that instance. And this football team and the Lafayette Leopards have come in ready to play.
the kickoff that Reichel will give up, so it won't end the half. Oregon State will have a chance to run a play. And it's Ryan, this is, I think, a common theme in these kinds of games, and we heard it all week from the Oregon State coaches. And Lafayette's a good team. Lafayette's a good team, and they are. We see it. The question is, do the guys wearing the black and orange, are they listening to they believe? I suspect they know it by now.
You would think of how this season has gone, but sometimes you just aren't willing to see it until you get hit in the mouth. And that's what Lafayette has done this first half. They have hit them in the mouth. They've been better up front at the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively. And I would argue they've been better on the defensive back end as well. Nigel probably could comment on that a little bit more.
All right, here we go. Final play of the half. And the Beavers will just give it to Hankerson. And Oregon State will have the mission ahead to kind of regroup at the half and shake off those last 2 minutes. Lafayette scores 10 points in the final 2 minutes, and Lafayette will get the ball to begin the third quarter.
Yeah, they've just dominated the middle eight, they call it, right? The last 4 minutes of the half and the first 4 minutes of the...
All right, let's go down to Nigel.
Thanks, Ted. Coach, you guys had things rolling in the second quarter, and then it kind of got away from you at the end. What do you got to do to get your team back on track?
Well, I think we just got to get them settled down a little bit. And believe it or not, I'm saying settle down, because if they will focus on just extending their jobs, we'll be all right. We were able to get a nice drive going there. We're able to get them to third and long on defense, but then we've got to finish the damn thing. And I think that, settle in, trust your eyes, trust your jobs, have confidence in the plays that you've made. Then we can build off of that and get the panic out of their way and maybe get them a little aggravated and wound up so they go get after somebody's tail. That's what I'm thinking.
I appreciate it, Coach. You get those guys aggravated.
Got it. Thank you.
I love the energy. And by the way, I'm going to say this is going to be already the top 5 football games I've ever done of both coaches' voices. Those are awesome. Hall of Fame voices.
Hall of Fame head coaching voices.
All right, after the break, we'll join Mike Yam and Michael Bumpus for the halftime show presented by Liberty Mutual. Well, back to Corvallis, Oregon State, hopeful of getting the first win of the season. They have work ahead of them. Lafayette wins the final 2 minutes of the first half, and Ryan, it's pretty clear Oregon State's going to have to wipe out some miscues to win the second half.
Yeah, it's been a tough go of it all year long, and the first half was no different than what we've seen over the last few weeks that put them in this position. First off, they have a chance here to get a turnover, which they haven't had many this year. Instead, a big holding penalty on the defensive backside, followed by an unsportsmanlike going off the field that gave the Leopards another opportunity. And then, doubling down on that, Jabari Johnson goes for it all rather than Zach Card in the flats, an interception at the goal line. Upset about that clearly. And then on a big third and very long, they throw a ball down the field. Defensive pass interference puts them in a position to get a score. They get a field goal to end the half, and it is 10-13 in favor of the Leopards at halftime.
And Rob Akey putting on the positive face when he spoke with Nigel walking off the field, and imagine he did the same with the players inside. But Oregon State's defense will be put to an immediate test here because, again, Lafayette scoring 10 points to end the first half and starting the second half with possession. They'll start with a touchback on the fair catch. And the first half numbers, and I'll add one, Ryan, that really, I think, is a statement. Lafayette was 6 out of 10 on third down.
I mean, that first drive you have to look at that you talked about, they executed. This has the look of a team. Now listen, when you're 5-2, it doesn't matter. You're functioning at a high level. The offensive line is playing well together. I mean, Dean DeNoble hasn't been great. He's barely over 50% passing, but he's been careful with the ball. He's put the ball in the right position. They've run it enough to keep the defense honest. And when you're playing a lot of man-to-man coverage, unless you're solid back there, the wide receivers are going to have a chance.
This has been a big lift for Lafayette to get Kente Edwards back tonight, and he missed the last 2 games with injury. Flag on the first play. Flag was back in the defensive secondary.
There is no foul for having two players wearing the same number. It'll be second down.
Whoops. Two players wearing the same number.
Listen, it fools me too.
I was just
8 and 0 has been really difficult for us tonight.
That's clearly an official who understands my dilemma. This is the worst part of the sport, or the numbers. So it is second down and 5. And Edwards got hit at the line there. That's a good defensive stop. And in the middle, Taiji Hill's been playing a lot more tonight on that defensive front for the Beavers. And that will leave Lafayette with third down.
And Taiji Hill, he gets inside and he gets a hold of the left leg and he does not let go. I mean, he just kind of put his face down into the ground and held onto that leg for dear life until they got him on the ground. Well done.
So the Leopards need 4. They need the 35 here. DeNoble flips it ahead, and all that bobbling wears the ball, and it hits the ground, so it's incomplete. That's a dangerous pass that DeNoble, that's, I believe, the third time he's tried that flip. One of them was intercepted, although erased by penalty.
Now what happens here is Kente Edwards, he just can't get out to where he's supposed to be. He's looking too much on what he has to do in terms of protection, which is, from a quarterback's point of view, that's good, but you got to know immediately, they only brought 4. You get out into your route, allow him for that check down. He doesn't get there. Big stop for the Beavs here to start the second half.
Exactly what Oregon State needed from the defense. Trent Walker gave them a good punt. Oh, they're going to try to fake, but it's not there. There is a flag down. Pass is caught. It is past the line to gain, but there is a flag down. And let's see. Is that an ineligible man downfield?
I think it's going to be. It has to be. That took too long.
Yes.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield. Offense.
Whoa.
5-yard penalty. Replay forfeit.
So again, not enough men on the line of scrimmage.
That's the second time. They're going to say, I guess the
right tackle there.
Maybe, but
number 4.
He was the one who was going to. He doesn't know it's a fake.
Yeah.
He's running down to tackle somebody. So.
Whoa. All right. Well, that is a potential bailout big time for Oregon State. That penalty, as Lafayette eventually did complete the pass.
That's such a subjective call. It really is.
And Christian Bush gets the punt away. Trent Walker with the fair catch. 35-yard line for Oregon State on a 39-yard punt.
Hey, listen, you know, you got to love John Troxell, head football coach for Lafayette, to pull no punches here and go for a big play. Another flag on the field.
Yes, special teams. Flag mania.
They're in the kick. Holding. Kicking team. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. First down, Oregon State.
So special teams, which everybody who's watched Oregon State this year, followed college football, knows what a challenge it's been. Here's a measure of Rob Akey. So last week, of course, Oregon State tried to kick a field goal, and the entire protection collapsed. The kick had never had a chance, and so I tried to ask in a diplomatic fashion, you know, in this week of change, what they had done with the protection. And he said, "Oh, do you mean did we fix the blank and field goal team?"
Yep.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant, Coach.
Yep, they got it.
But fixed. I love that about Rob Akey, and he took it because he had been given the chore the previous week.
Listen, I get the pleasure of traveling around the country and speaking to a lot of these football programs, and my messaging usually is about what you can control. And that's exactly what we heard from Rob Akey yesterday on how to be a positive influence for these kids in a difficult time.
Murphy pulls the ball back and tries his shot down the field, and it should have been picked. That was an interception. That would have been Jalen Edwards' second right there for him. And again, Oregon State escapes.
He gets the yell from the stands. You eat with those hands, because, I mean, that is a perfectly thrown ball to the defender. Another great job of playing defense at the safety position, and gets over He tried to drop the first one. He definitely drops the second one.
You know, my favorite, fellas, is when I see the defensive back like grab their, like, oh, I almost had that. It's like, listen, I'm with you about. If we had that good of hands, we'd be playing offense, guys.
Right. That's,
like,
that's the way it works.
2nd down and 10, and Hankerson does a nice job. That's the good Hankerson right there. He kind of squeezed almost 5 yards out of virtually nothing.
Yeah, he tiptoed his way, kind of kept moving forward to pick up a few yards, and now give him a 3rd and manageable.
Yeah, they mark it at the 29, so 3rd and 6 coming. Beaver band here. Beaver students have hung in to at least start this second half. You know, could not have asked for a better October football evening in the Willamette Valley. Murphy pushed out to his right. Steps back, guns one. And he had 2 receivers open on the sideline and missed them both. So it'll be 4th down.
Not a great start for either offense. Defense steps up in both instances and gets the ball back. We'll see who can get extended drive and put some more points on the board.
A.J. Windsor to punt. Chat just for a minute with him during warm-ups because he has really done a nice job as the holder as well. Oh, that punt's blocked. Punt blocked, goes forward, but Lafayette's going to get it inside the Oregon State 40. Ethan Weber, running back, blocks the punt.
And that special teams rears its ugly head once again. I made the stat last week. In terms of special teams efficiency, they were dead last in all of college football at 136, and that is exactly what we talk about.
And this is the one thing that hadn't hurt him. This is the first blocked punt against the Beavers this year.
I mean, it's just a great move. Really, you put your offensive lineman back there in those punt protection situations, and instead 33 just goes right around him, puts a little juke move on him, gets to the side.
So let's get the right name there. Ty Comiskey, a linebacker. Ty Comiskey is the man that got in there with that great move and blocks the punt. So Lafayette has it at the Oregon State 36. And DeNoble. All right, no, that is Penza, the second quarterback. Jason Penza keeps it straight ahead. And again, to just reiterate our first half storyline, the thing that crushed Oregon State early in the year was the snapping. They fixed the snap and the hold pretty much, but the protection has just been
that's
not good.
Yeah, well, that's where the efficiency of special teams, it all has to round out. That's how they get the measured data on it, and sure enough, they are just dead last in the entire country in terms of efficiency on special teams.
DeNoble on second down, low throw, incomplete. First target to the tight end, Hosack.
It looked like Hosack was not even anticipating that ball to be thrown. So DeNoble gets the ball out of his hand rather quickly.
Now here's the issue again we mentioned near the end of the first half, Ryan. Not sure about the range of Lafayette's kicker. It'd be 50-51 right now, so
well, if anything,
it might be 4 downs.
Anything to judge from the first 2 kicks he had, I feel like he can boot it, and he's certainly accurate.
And DeNoble bought himself some time, completes the pass to Ethan Weber, and it only gains a yard to the 32, so we'll find out right now what John Troxell thinks, because it's 4th down.
They're going to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, 4th and 6, so he is regarding this as 4 down territory.
We thought that 45 yards was probably the distance that he would be comfortable with, and they just did not pick up enough yards to make that a viable option here on 4th and 6.
Oregon State get some pressure? Can the defense get off the field on 4th down? Kente Edwards, the running back. DeNoble throwing quick. caught, and let's see, this is going to be a mark. Let's see where forward progress is.
That's all Kobe Singleton right there.
Yes.
He stopped him short.
They're marking it around the 27. I'm waiting for the official mark here. And nope, they are marking it, and it's Oregon State ball. Kobe Singleton does make the play, stopping Stewart's forward progress.
Big time throw, big time catch, but wasn't accurate enough. And with that, the Beavers get the big stop and get the ball back, down 13-10.
CW football Saturday night back at Research Stadium in Corvallis. We'll be in Pullman next week. Afternoon game, 3:30 Eastern time for Washington State and Toledo. Lafayette. Offense tonight, 219. They've had for 45 plays, which is probably the bigger number. And they lead.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the statistics, if you watched this game, you would not think of one of these teams as an FCS football team.
That's it.
They've been very competitive.
Whoops, Jabari Johnson corrals the high snap, then quickly gets it out to Hatcher. That was a forward pass, though. So that ball's dead. And the play, though, completely off kilter from the very beginning.
Nigel, you and I talked about this before the game. Just anything that could go wrong that you are doing personally kind of speak to that, where you just don't see good football teams make these kinds of mistakes.
And again, some of that comes back. Second center in the game tonight, Adam Hawks, playing instead of Van Wells. Johnson with a good keeper. Johnson with room. Look at Johnson break. Foot race. And the biggest play of the night, the biggest play in a while for the Oregon State offense. A huge run by Jabari Johnson. 52 yards.
Just a fake bubble screen, essentially. Watch everybody go with their eyes, and then Jabari just goes back almost counter-ish down the field. Nigel?
Yeah, Ryan, it was quarterback counter. The bubble was just for a little bit of eye discipline. Yeah, just messing with the eye discipline of Lafayette. They fell for it, and Jabari did a great job exploding through. And then, all his boys right now are talking trash on the sideline.
Like, run down.
Yeah, you couldn't finish that off, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
It's like getting run down by a punter or a kicker, right?
Oh, that might be worse.
That might be worse.
Avery Jones is the Lafayette defender there, and you saw Rob Akey. Enthusiasm, one explosive play that changes the vibe here, giving Oregon State the chance. And this is the dynamism that the Beavers love of Jabari Johnson. 52 yards to put them in scoring position. Well, next week, wall-to-wall action on CW Sports Saturday. A college doubleheader to kick things off. SMU, Wake Forest, a real good ACC game. And then we'll be in Pullman for Toledo against Washington State. The NASCAR Xfinity playoffs will roll into Martinsville with drivers fighting to clinch their spot in the championship four. And it all ends in Vegas with the PBR Team Series crowning a champion. CW Sports Saturday next week.
That's a heck of a Saturday. I mean, you got everything an American would want right there.
Well, Oregon State now trying to cash in. Their second longest play of the year on offense was the 52-yard run by Jabari Johnson. They follow up with a good, strong Anthony Hankerson run that will give them first and goal.
Hey, listen, there's something to having an explosive play like that just gets you guys. But look at Anthony Hankerson bouncing around on his toes after that. Doesn't want to be taken out of the football game. Big play opportunities, and big play can get a team motivated, can get a team fired up. And we saw that just right there on first down.
Well, Hankerson has not had his workload reduced. 15 carries tonight. We've not seen Saladin Allah after he was banged up on just a second carry in the first half. Nice cutback by Hatcher. And I got to say, another good job there by Jabari Johnson. And the snap was heading uptown, and he was able to corral it. Oregon State really rotating centers. They had Xander Esty in earlier in this, and that is still him. Xander Esty is the center. On 2nd and goal. Anderson to the 3. Paul Weiderman on the Lafayette stop, 3rd and goal. Well, the Beavers have been pretty consistent in that they just think down deep here. Give it to Hankerson.
Yeah, and he's been patient. He has on their other touchdown of the night. He was there. Weiderman was just a little bit better to get him on the ground.
Does Johnson keep on one of these? Nope. Hankerson runs into the middle, and it's going to be, again, something the Beavers, the flashback to their Appalachian State game, and they've had this a lot this year. Be 4th down and goal at the 1.
Listen, you got Jabari Johnson, who's great with his feet. You've handed the ball off all year. You are, if you've been south scouting at all, this would be a zone read where Jabari Johnson absolutely walks into the end zone.
That's sort of what I was thinking on the last play, Ryan. Thank you. Gabe Milborn and Jackson Bowers in as 2 tight ends. Reichel is in to block as well on 4th down. Pulls the ball back and has the touchdown to Milborn. Gabe Milborn, a 5th-year Beaver, having to step up because of injuries to other tight ends.
Wonderful play fake, just wonderful. He takes a ride step into the line of scrimmage and then puts a perfect pass with a lot of touch over the top to make sure that Gabe Milborn can go up and get it.
5th-year player, and that's the first touchdown catch of his career as a Beaver. That's nice. Bryce Caulfield's been out for a while with an injury. Riley Williams was hoped for this year. The Oregonian reported yesterday that Riley Williams suffered an injury early this year, and he will not return this season. So here's a guy getting a shot, Gabe Milborn, and the payoff is his first college touchdown. And well set up on an awful lot of runs into the line. Beavers regain the lead midway through the 3rd. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, starting at $13.99 and now with spicy 3-meat sauce. And by Ace, the helpful place. Boy, look at 2 great names from other sports. Pete Carrill, one of the most respected basketball minds. You remember, of course, his great career coaching Princeton basketball, but a guy that was often sought by professional teams for basketball expertise. And Joe Madden, who was a football player briefly at Lafayette, but of course became a World Series winning
not only
manager.
a World Series winning manager, my Chicago Cubs World Series winning manager.
All right, Caleb Ojeda is going to kick off here for Oregon State, with the Beavers having regained the lead and hoping now that they can sustain this. Going to be caught in the field of play by Ja'Kai Henley. Ja'Kai Henley runs it back just shy of the 25 as we get a look at, yes, a freshman football player, Joe Madden.
Look at that. Look at that. Flowing hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we have another Lafayette alum here tonight. Our content genius here, Sam Polis, ran into today in our hotel. Lafayette class of 1957, Hank Darlington. Lives in Southern Oregon. 2-sport student athlete at Lafayette. Lafayette baseball went to the College World Series in the 50s twice. Hank was on those teams. 90 years young and very healthy, very fit here tonight. As a play-action throw is caught by DeNoble, and the pass is caught by Persing, or by Stewart, excuse me. No, it is Persing on the catch. And finish quickly. Hank Darlington is here with his Oregon State buddy, Jim Wright, who's visually impaired. And Jim Wright told Sam that how much he enjoys listening to the CW Football Saturday telecast. Thank you, Jim. There's Edwards running it up the middle for a first down, and those are the kind of stories that highlight why the Lafayette, it all came from Lafayette's president, why they wanted to play this kind of a game. They had never gone further west in the history of the school than the Air Force Academy. Running right up the gut again at first down. Edwards is going to get about 4. Skylar Thomas leading the defensive hit for the Beavers.
I've been really impressed with Dean DeNoble, third-year quarterback. The throw there right before the first down run, he put it on an absolute string to his wide receiver. He's been patient. He hasn't put the ball in harm's way. I feel like he's managed this game incredibly well on the road against a division above him opponent.
Pass incomplete there, intended for Carson Persing. Lafayette, of course, playing that game you saw, first ever in this time zone. They did charter a flight here. They're going to charter out of Eugene late night tonight to go home. They occasionally play night games, but most of their games are in the noon, 1 o'clock window in the East. So this is a real rarity for Lafayette football. Body clock-wise.
Body clock.
3rd and 6. Weber gets in, and Weber can't break the tackle. That's the play again that the Oregon State defense has been looking for from a guy that stepped in after an injury to Rajon Davis early in the year. Number 2, Aiden Sullivan, has played well for the Beavers.
This is a huge tackle. He doesn't make it. He probably picks up this first down, and that just kind of keeps, the pressure on this Oregon State defense to try to make a stop. They get it done, make them have to punt, and now you put the hands back in. Now you put the ball back in the hands of Oregon State's offense, who just had an explosive drive and is feeling very confident about themselves.
4th Lafayette punt. Fair catch by Walker inside the 20. That's a good punt at 40 on the Lafayette punt. All right, here's a look at our Royal Caribbean game summary.
Here's the big interception, of course, early in the game that would have gotten him inside. But then when he can't get it done with his arm, let's use the legs, a little quarterback counter up the fake, and away he goes. Going to catch a little heck from his teammates about getting run down, but then he throws the touchdown pass with a little dump over the top to Gabe Milborn, his first touchdown as a Beaver.
Oh, a little flip here to David Wells getting outside for a good first down game. And here's the part to note right away, Ryan. Back-to-back series now. Jabari Johnson's the quarterback.
Listen, if anybody watched the game a week ago, heard I was highly critical of Malik Murphy. I did not feel like it was his best effort, just in terms of technique. I feel like he got the message from his coaching staff this week, and he came out and did some things well. 9 of 10 in the first half, but I think a mistake thrown there, and understanding that what Jabari Johnson can do with both his legs and his arm is a difference maker.
Now look at the burst through. Into the open goes Hatcher. And the second huge explosive run for Oregon State. Cornell Hatcher, 42 yards.
Great job of Jabari Johnson running out the fake, and he pulls that guy just enough to the side that gives the hole, and he explodes through it. Cornell Hatcher goes all the way down the field and ultimately gets pulled down just at the last minute. Another explosive game running play.
Yep. 2 longest run plays of the year for Oregon State coming in this 3rd quarter. And Johnson using the motion, using the move there to the tight end Milborn. And Ryan, talk about that as a quarterback. That's the element that Johnson could also bring, is what we've seen DeNoble do tonight. constantly being throwing on the move.
Yeah, your ability to get outside on the perimeter puts a lot of stress on a defense, right? If you're in man coverage, you have to stay with it for a longer time. If you're in zone, you have to try not to move with the move with the quarterback along the way. And sometimes that can open up some gaps and really give you a good opportunity.
There are two backs now, Hankerson and Hatcher. Flank Jabari Johnson from the 20. That's Johnson! Jabari Johnson, touchdown Beavers! For the first time, there was a read with the zone.
We've been waiting for it for a couple weeks now here. Jabari Johnson this time pulls the ball in the zone read. The defensive end, Jalen Joseph, just not fast enough to get to the outside, and the quarterback uses some nice footwork to not only make one guy miss, but then use it again. A little jab and gets him into the end zone for 6.
Well, as dramatically as the last 2 minutes of the first half felt like it changed this game, so has 2 explosive runs. One by Jabari Johnson. This drive, it was Cornell Hatcher, and then Johnson mixing in this. This has not been seen by Oregon State this year.
Yeah, Nigel, little zone read with the read.
Yeah, you know, what ended up happening was Lafayette brought an inside pressure, so they had to play man behind it. And when you do that, you don't have a guy to overlap anymore. You don't have that extra linebacker. So it left the defensive end one-on-one, who actually tried to do his job as well as he could, right? He closed, his shoulders were square.
Yep.
But that O was better than that X. So as you see, they bring the inside pressure, and it's a one-on-one with that outside, with that defensive end, just based on coverage. There's nobody left. Everybody's in man. And then great block by the wide receiver. That's the one thing that we needed to point out. The wide receiver up top makes a great block on the safety. 88 and out the gate.
That right there is probably the best example, Ted, in terms of what's the difference between the FCS and FBS level, right? That athletic play, because, you know, Jalen Joseph did everything he was supposed to in that moment and just got out-athleted by Jabari Johnson.
Well, Jabari Johnson, his presence certainly, look at the Rob Akey again, being himself from everything we've seen.
I've known Rob Akey for a long time. Yeah. And that man that we saw in the meeting yesterday, what we've seen in the interview and what we've seen all week in the press conferences, same exact guy. It's never changed. He loves his job. He loves the fact that he gets to affect young men in a way that can be positive. And he was the perfect guy for this. Like, it's got to be incredibly hard to have an athletic director come in and say, I need you to take over the ship because we just fired the guy that you came here to try to battle with. And he was the one to step up because it's about the kids. And that's exactly what he told us.
Yeah, you know, Ryan, I think the other part that I think people really don't understand is the relationship that Rob Akey had with Trent Bray, right? I mean, Rob has known Trent since Trent was like 6 years old. And so, I mean, it was one of those painful moments, but a moment where he felt like he had a commitment to these players as well.
Well, there wasn't a better guy that Trent would probably say, if I have to not be the one here, then Rob can be that guy.
All right, incomplete pass after the 5-yard penalty backed up Lafayette.
The thing that Lafayette can't do here, though, is to get outside themselves a little bit. They're only down 2 scores. They still have to run the football. They can't just start throwing it and give the ball back to the Oregon State Beavers and let their defense rest just a little bit.
We saw Oregon State with the 203 rush yards. And let's see, that's an incomplete pass, not held by Edwards coming out of the backfield. What's flipped this game in the third quarter, Oregon State has 138 rush yards in this quarter.
Yeah, fellas, on this third down, it's been interesting because when Lafayette had a lot of success was when they were trying the Beavers deep, either making catches or getting penalties, and now they've kind of stopped doing that. I'll be curious to see if they try the Beavers secondary on a deep pass.
It's exactly what DeNoble's doing, and Stewart trying to run down that pass, unable to.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about every now and again.
That time the difference was they were playing off coverage and they still got beat down the field. If it was a better throw, they would have had a real opportunity for a huge explosive. Instead, he doesn't put enough air underneath the throw. The ball is too deep, and now the Beavers look like they're going to get the ball back.
That was the freshman corner, Trey Glasper, that was on the cover of Stewart. And so Lafayette started that with the 5-yard pre-snap penalty, and now having to punt it again. And Walker taking advantage. The punt giving him the opportunity to run it back. He does inside the Lafayette 45. Do you believe in magic? Well, Friday, aspiring magicians attempt to fool the world-famous team of Penn & Teller and win the right to perform with them on stage in Las Vegas. A new episode of Penn & Teller Fool Us, Friday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Here's a look at the comparison of the quarterbacks. Jabari Johnson, of course, not asked to throw much, only 20 yards passing, but the rushing has been the difference maker, the dual threat of him with the football.
Well, this is, and there is Hankerson. Well, this is great to see because Hankerson got banged up earlier in the year, and it culminated that loss Oregon State had in the final minutes at Appalachian State when even the coaches admitted that Hankerson really couldn't push off to finish the final run. He hasn't looked that way at all last week or this week.
Well, I think that what Coach Akey said to Nigel right before half, I think he got his guys a little bit agitated during that halftime speech.
I like that.
Yeah.
Agitated. 2nd and 1. Ooh. Well, let's see how that.
Great play.
Yeah, is that a horse collar? I think
not inside the pocket. There are no horse collars inside the pocket.
All right, let's see if there's a conference about that after the tackle by Callahan Blair, who's that rare player, started his career at Vanderbilt and then came to Lafayette. We'll listen to Chris Wiggins here.
Personal foul. Horse collar tackle. Number 6, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
All right, Michael Mothershed, come on in.
Yeah, Ted, this is a horse collar tackle. They changed that rule a couple of years ago where the quarterback couldn't be tackled by a horse collar tackle in the tackle box. So this is a foul.
Okay, that was so well called.
So I thought he had to be grabbed inside the shoulder pads there. They can't just pull the jersey and pull him down?
The nameplate, if you pull the nameplate inside the jersey on the side or the back, that's a horse collar tackle, and apparently he pulled him on the nameplate area. That's a correct call.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. And so Oregon State taking advantage of now trying to put together something they really haven't had this year, which is a little bit of an avalanche here. This is strictly player safety, and it's completely understandable when you see the awful contortions and twists of legs in the horse collar tackle.
Yeah, inside the pocket for me is fair game. That's what I think. But, that's me.
So 2nd down at the 15. Hankerson home for the Oregon State touchdown.
Remember when I told you about depth, the difference in roster size and depth? That's one of the biggest things. These kids are tired, have flown the entire length of the country and playing at almost 1 o'clock in the morning their time. Anthony Hankerson, with his patience, does the rest. Great job of being patient, finding the hole, and then exploding to get himself in the end zone again.
Well, this just hasn't happened for Oregon State offense this year, is having this run 3 third-quarter touchdowns that have given them Their best game position by far this year, up 18.
Yeah, again, great patience by Anthony Hankerson. Coach Akey loves to see that. Hasn't been a lot of that here in Corvallis. A lot of smiles on this 4-game homestand. They go to a break next week, and then they got a real chance to finish this season on a high note.
Something else about Oregon State that's interesting, they've not had a bye yet. They will have their first bye next week, and they have another bye in November. So they, at the end of tonight's game, they only have 4 games left.
Yeah,
that's something Rob Akey was emphasizing to the players. You said, hey, listen, even if you think you're going to portal, man, put tape out there these last 5 games.
Yeah, they're one of the only teams that have played all 7 weeks to start the season. 8th week including this one. So yeah, a well-deserved break, and have a W in that column would be huge.
Caleb Ojeda on the kick here, which will be fair caught. Again, both Oregon State and Washington State, reasons if you follow, you know, we won't belabor the point, but they're playing independent schedules this year, and as a result, in the rarity, they're going to play head-to-head twice, home and home. Corvallis here in 2 weeks, and then Thanksgiving Saturday will be in Pullman for the second game.
Yeah, we're going to spend a little Thanksgiving together, have some turkey, some dressing, some stuffing, talk about the Beavs and the Cougs, and then once that game is over, the Pac-12 redefined will start up next season.
Right, DeNoble with a quick throw to the near side. It's caught by Henley for a short gain, and here is the new Pac-12. And it's amazing, even today, just getting questions from people on the field before the game. When does this happen? What's going on? It's July 1 that this becomes official, including Gonzaga basketball only. But the 8-team for now football conference. Free runner coming in Rawale, and a quick throw that is to Carson Jacoby.
You talked about that new redefined Pac-12 conference, and you know, the opportunities and just the incredible job that Teresa Gould and her staff have done to keep the brand and then build something that gives at least the 2 that stayed when they were left behind a real chance at the college football playoff, I think, every single year. There.
How about that? There's that treasured takeaway. Joe Johnson with the pick.
You know, this is something that's been learned. JoJo's watched Dean DeNoble the entire game, when got in trouble, find his way up the pocket and look for that check down. JoJo just kind of mirrors his eyes and comes right back into the picture when he was looking for his check down back. What a great job by the big 6'2", 290-pound redshirt sophomore out of Salt Lake City.
Now that's what the Oregon State fans have been waiting for a long time, is this chance to smile, to feel comfortable. They've been in games, last week being the exception. Hand off here to David Wells. David Wells, he got the ball stripped, and did Lafayette punch it out? Yes, they did. So just about the time you start to feel comfortable, there you go. Lafayette forcing the turnover. Edwards comes out with the ball.
Back-to-back plays in which turnovers happen. It's always so difficult to watch that. Defense just makes a huge play, comes to the side. Wonderful job of the defender that kind of gets run by, who makes the play by just kind of stripping it from the side. That's Jalen Edwards, who got beat to the outside. He just kind of grabs the ball with his right hand and pulls as he goes down for the tackle, and Wells coughs it up and gives it back to the Leopards.
It's amazing how that has happened in football. That wasn't a punch, but how the ball, tackling the ball. And if you saw the replay of the Georgia-Auburn goal line play last week, it's one of the greatest punches you'll ever see. Most of us would think it was a touchdown anyway, but the punch was unbelievable.
I mean, that is directly attributed to a guy who played in the NFL for the Chicago Bears for years named Peanut Tillman.
Yes, exactly.
And it's the peanut punch, and it has become a staple.
Amen. That's the word. Kent Edwards with the run here for Lafayette. We're in the closing seconds of the third. Noble gives it off inside again, but nowhere to go. Thomas Collins. 98, the international player, defensive lineman from Sweden. Thomas Collins stopped that run, and with that comes the end of the third quarter. But yeah, Rob Akey smiling. The Beavers score 21 to take the lead. You're watching CW Football Saturday. It's presented by Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl starting at $13.99, now with spicy 3-meat sauce. And by Bank of America. What would you like the Power to do? Power, 168 rush yards for Oregon State in the third quarter.
I mean, it's exactly what they needed. Whatever Coach Akey had to say to him there in that locker room at halftime, fired him up. They got a stop, a 3-and-out, and after the 3-and-out of their own, they have been dominant offensively since that time.
A second down for Lafayette to start the fourth quarter. Quick out to Edwards. Ooh, he had, again, the vision of a lot of space to run, but he got cut down. Jaheim Patterson and Mason White combined. But it's still a first down for Lafayette. By the way, we can't bury the lead that I mentioned about 3 hours ago. Well, we'll have to wait. We're going to run a quick play here. And DeNoble taking another shot, misses Stewart. Yesterday, because it's that time of year, we had a chance to go over and watch the Oregon State men's basketball team in a practice. And afterwards, Ryan Leaf, just shy of his 50th birthday, dunked. I saw it.
Listen, okay.
Dunked.
I wanted to try it. But I was too scared to try it when all the basketball players were there and Coach Tinkle. I was just fearful I couldn't do it anymore, and I would embarrass myself. And now I just wish I would have done it in front of them all, so I can show them that the 49-plus-year-old guy still has some hops.
I'm just so sad I didn't have the camera rolling so you kids could see this.
Well, we'll do it next time now that we know we can.
Ethan Hosack on the catch, and I'll add as the addendum, no hospital trip was required.
It was close though. The walk home for you and me was pretty difficult. There was a few times that I thought I might be ambulatory.
It's that kind of it's that time of year. The Oregon State men's team went down today. They had the scrimmage, as these teams do now. They scrimmaged Cal. And Oregon State won the game. DeNoble, nice job again. That's the thing he's looked impressive with tonight, is that little pocket movement.
He has moved well in the pocket, and he's been accurate down the field when he's done that. Where he hasn't been as accurate as when he's got guys open, he hasn't put the appropriate amount of air on the football that gives him a chance to go get it. Outside of that, I've been really impressed by the third-year starter.
20 yards on that pass to Mason Keener. And again, DeNoble Washburn put that ball in a decent spot, but well defensed by Singleton for Oregon State. That was the 0 and 8 thing again. I had to wait for a second.
And to make sure, Kobe Singleton has played really well. He's played really well this game. Playing that nickel position, comes from a center field position right there and gets his right arm in front of the receiver and knocks it away.
Devin Page was the intended. 2nd and 10. Nope, not getting out. And in the backfield is Mason White out of the secondary.
You haven't seen him blitz much, but their keys allowed him to get up there and get behind the line of scrimmage.
Nothing. Let's see what happened there. Nothing seemed to start very cleanly there. I don't see any flags down, but we all heard whistles.
One guy's saying false start.
Prior to the snap.
Oh,
False start.
There it
Number
is.
9 offense. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Flag might have been stuck in the belt.
Thought it was thrown, and
he finally
realized,
threw it. Yeah.
I better get this on the ground.
It nonetheless is a penalty.
They've been behind the sticks the entire second half. That's one thing that this defense has done for Oregon State. They've really compounded the mistakes that the Leopards have made and put them in really difficult positions. And really, they've had to kind of get outside themselves, where they ran the ball so well in the first half. They haven't had a chance to go to their running game really at all, being down as much as they are here in the second half.
Well, the Beavers bringing people. DeNoble did a nice job to get away, but then the flip was behind Hosack, the tight end. Now, Nigel, is this just me, or is it amazing what a difference is? Look how it feels like the Oregon State defense played free on that sequence with an 18-point lead out. What a difference.
Yeah, that entire series, you can just, the energy in the entire building has changed.
It is.
I mean, the third quarter, you've got everybody from the team, the coaches, the fans, the cheerleaders, the mascot, the band, everything has felt completely different since you got the turnovers and the offensive touchdowns.
Wow. Trent Walker a little upset there. Fair catch, and the Lafayette cover man came close, but no flag. And this beautiful night in Corvallis, the Beavers can sense a win.
It is a wonderfully beautiful fall day, so of course we have to turn over a new leaf. That handsome devil. Well, the difference has been the explosive plays. Jabari Johnson, 52 yards, followed up by Hatcher with a 42-yarder, and then the 2 explosive touchdowns, 15 and 20 yards by Jabari Johnson, and the other by Anthony Hankerson, that have extended this lead. That's what they have to be. They have to be explosive in the running game, something they haven't been all year. That's how they would do it, by turning over that leaf this fall.
It really felt like one play, the 50-yard run by Jabari Johnson. It wasn't a touchdown run, but that seemed to change the tenor as there's a flag down at the very end of the run. Remember, Lafayette led 13-10 at the half and then blocked a punt early in the third quarter. Had the ball in Oregon State territory, didn't convert on a 4th, and that's
Holding, 0 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul where he played first down.
all right. Running back. So running backs often asked to block, and occasionally this happens.
Looked pretty
Right
good
there.
to me. That's a great tackle, though.
Yeah.
It was a great tackle getting to the perimeter there. That may be the first negative play offensively the second half for this Oregon State team, to be honest.
329 total yards right now for Oregon State, but most important is the 31. 3 third-quarter touchdowns. And there is Johnson faking the wide throw, keeping it inside.
That was exactly the same play that got Jabari Johnson that 52-yard run, a little kind of eye candy to the pump, and then a counter, but it wasn't open. He stayed play side, he stayed front side, and got gobbled up, setting him back even further, second down.
And this is the first time we have seen this year continuous play for Jabari Johnson.
Well, he's been a difference maker, right? I mean, his ability to be a dual threat is just something that Malik Murphy wasn't capable of doing.
Good throw there, and that was well positioned to his receiver, Gabe Milborn. Gets up to the original line, so it's still going to be a long third.
For a defensive coordinator, when you're looking at a quarterback, now there's someone that looks like Malik Murphy, who's 6'5", 235 pounds. I mean, he's a frightful sight if you're a defensive coordinator, knowing you have to go up against him. But if he only does one thing, if he's only willing to do one thing, that allows a defensive coordinator to do many different things defensively. You are a lot different in terms of conservative play calling when you have a guy that can do the things that Johnson can.
Boy, Johnson was able to get his feet set, and then you could see the quality of the throw. Carson Boschma on the catch.
And hey, Ryan, you're absolutely right. I mean, even on this play, just the ability for Jabari Johnson to get outside of the pocket, scared enough of the defenders to come out of coverage to open up things for the Oregon State receivers to find holes in the zone. So it's just, you're absolutely right. It is a nightmare. It restrains your calls. You want to stay out of man because it creates such a problem for you, like we saw earlier on the touchdown run. So you hit the nail on the head with that one. Jabari Johnson's legs creates such a problem for defensive coordinators.
Something there causing Oregon State to call a timeout, and you also saw the difference, as Ryan Lee talked about, like stepping into the throw right on the money. Hey, start the season off right and get game day ready. Scan the QR code you see to shop team swag and game day essentials from the CW Football Saturday Shop. And it's all brought to you by Dick's. Every season starts at Dick's. Orange and black, the colors in Corvallis. Maroon is the main legendary color. Crayola, we mentioned Crayola's headquartered in Easton, Pennsylvania, the home of Lafayette College. They put out a special pack of crayons this year for the bicentennial of Lafayette. As here's a handoff, and busting out is Hankerson. Big run. Story of the second half. Finally explosive runs.
Yeah, it has been. And this defensive line, for as good as they were in that first half, being undersized, they've just pretty much got manhandled here. Just up front allows Hankerson to kind of bounce off and still find himself a gaping hole to get through and pick up a big yardage.
Johnson, quick throw on the outside, and there goes Boschma. Carson Boschma.
He didn't know what to do in all that space.
Redshirt junior had only one catch coming into the game, 2 now in this recent play.
Tell me what college this is. What college is he from, this JC?
The College of the Siskiyous.
Okay. Touchdown.
And there's Hankerson in. And Oregon State is unloading right now.
This is
2 months of frustration.
Yes, this is 2 months of frustration just being
exorcised.
Exorcised. That's a very, very good vocabulary word for this. This is going to give them something. Like we talked about it to start the second half, what needed to happen. They hadn't been beaten by an FCS opponent since 2013 by a guy by the name of Cooper Kupp in Eastern Washington. Came in here and dominated. They weren't going to let that happen this time.
Ojeda puts it through, and for Anthony Hankerson, back-to-back 100-yarders, 124 tonight, and this his 3rd touchdown. And the Beavers have owned the second half. (38-13). Uncertain times, even at halftime for Oregon State, for their fans, and it has been a complete breakout. Anthony Hankerson with the second 3-touchdown game in his Beaver career. This 2 years that he's had here, had one last year, and that rush average tonight is going to boost the season number much closer. He was just under 5 yards a carry last year.
Oh, and that was the big difference that you made a point of last week, where his average was this year. Just he was not the same back, and he certainly looked better last week, and this week it looked more like the Hankerson than we remember.
And a kick run back here for Lafayette to the 20-yard line. Kicking off for Oregon State, Caleb Ojeda. There have been 2 different games this year, and look, it's honest truth. It's also a statement about their special teams. But look what happened. This is in the Houston game. Look at that tackle. in the open field, and he got hurt on this tackle, and he could not attempt a field goal later that could have won the game, and he did it again last week.
This was even better, I thought. He squared up, he got low, he hit him in the thigh pad and got him to the ground all by himself.
You just don't see kickers do that.
No, I asked him before the game, I said, you gonna make any more tackles today? And he looked at me and said, maybe.
Maybe. And the holder, we're joking with him, A.J. Windsor, the punter's his holder, he looked up and he goes, he's an athlete. That's a great compliment for a kicker to hear. And again, the truth of the matter is you don't want your kicker to have to make those tackles, but it's a real statement about Ojeda giving himself up to do that twice.
Yeah, this crowd that stayed, you know, being down at halftime to an FCS opponent after starting the season 0-7, the crowd that has stayed for this game has been paid off for sure with the performance here in the second half. And you never know, a performance like this, feeling that optimism, it can change the trajectory of an entire season because of it.
Jason Penza has come in to quarterback this series for Lafayette. Kyrie Henley on the carry. So Lafayette trying to get some other people in the game here, obviously, and again, they know they're going to have about a 5-hour flight home after the game tonight. They do have a bye week, and then they get ready for the Patriot League stretch and their game, the rivalry, when they play Lehigh.
Yeah, that game will probably dictate a lot of what the Patriot League is going to be about. Get a chance to get back to the FCS playoffs.
There's JoJo Johnson with an interception earlier in this half, and now the big tackle for loss.
That is not just a big tackle. I mean, he's in the backfield where the running back gets the handoff, squares him up, face mask to face mask, and pours him down. I mean, confidence breeds confidence. Offense has had a heck of a second half, and the defense has responded in kind.
I'll give you a reading suggestion if you're like us and you're a vintage and you really appreciate what college athletics has often been. A great author that we just lost this summer, John Feinstein, wrote a book a while back about the Patriot League basketball season called The Last Amateur, and it was before the Patriot League allowed scholarships, so it was the old need-based financial aid. But it's a wonderful view of what it's like in the world of the Patriot League schools. By the way, as we see Jabari Johnson come out, my good friend Professor Rapp has informed me, we mentioned that the school, Lafayette College, is named for a general who was a key in the Battle of Yorktown, helped America win the Revolutionary War, named one of his sons George Washington. But Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette, gave George Washington the key to the Bastille, which to this day hangs in Mount Vernon. How about that little nugget for early Sunday morning? How about this? House call. Anthony Hankerson, 65, and his 4th touchdown. He's got the key to Reeser tonight, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. This is just a straight explosive play. Just a little side step and away he goes. The hole just opened. Safety moved out of the spot, overplayed his hand, and you know, when you're playing at almost 2 in the morning body clock time, I guess it's nothing good happens after midnight. I've been told that.
And here's Ojeda for another point. Well, it's what a lot of folks thought might have happened earlier. It has happened in the second half. Oregon State has been able to dominate. Our progressive player of the game, and it all changed with the third quarter entry of Jabari Johnson.
It has. He's been the catalyst for positive change, and his ability to use his legs changed the dynamic, and it's allowed Anthony Hankerson to have the best game of his season as well, because the value of Jabari Johnson keeping the ball in those zone situations made the defense do things differently, and this team has just been a different offense in the second half with Jabari Johnson, who is our progressive player of the game.
And it's sponsored by Progressive. Get coverage you can count on with home and auto at progressive.com. Well, this is what, last week, Trent Bray, when we were here meeting Trent, talked about the fact that we're going to get Jabari Johnson in a little bit more. They just need to know. They need to find out about him.
Well, I think that, what they found out about him came at the end of the game in the press conference when he showed a real leadership role.
Great call.
And coaches saw that and said, all right, we're going to give him more of an opportunity. And, Malik Murphy he couldn't affect the football game the same way that Johnson can with his legs. And that's just something this team, not have maybe the same amount of talent as everybody else. When you have a very talented running back that offers you two different things to do offensively, that puts a giant strain on the defense. And tonight in the second half, that certainly was the case.
All right, Lafayette again with Jason Penza. Did a lot of running in the first half. He's from Crystal Lake, Illinois. And I want to amend something I started to talk about in the first half. Just the difference again in the level of football you were talking about and the way it's played in the Patriot League. Lafayette, they do allow medical redshirts. That's the only redshirt there is. Now, redshirting's kind of gone at the biggest levels anyway.
Right.
But they don't redshirt players. Lafayette has no graduate schools. So as a result, you don't have graduate transfers. And John Troxell was talking to us about that. He said, look, I tell some of my kids that might get a look, hey, if you could get your degree here and finish, and you can go play a fifth year somewhere, do it.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun this week to get to talk to Coach Troxell and his staff. I mean, he's really proud of this team. Some things that he brought to my attention around that, how young this football team is, and only having one starter returning on the defensive side of the football. But he really thought this team was playing together. There was a lot of detail in their discipline. They hired a new strength coach, which has built a real different culture. The biggest thing he said about this team and why there's some consistency, 9 out of the 10 coaches he brought along with him are all still there with him.
Peyton Greer had gotten the previous run play there for Lafayette. Jonathan Moyer on that catch. I did have the moment when we were speaking with John Troxell and his coordinators, but when John was answering a question I threw at him, and it took me about 7 seconds to unwind my head after he finished the answer, because I said, Coach, I just heard 2 words you used, degree and academics. And I hadn't heard those in a while. It was so nice, it threw me off.
Well, you have been around long enough to know that the student athlete was put at the forefront of everything, and that has just been cast to the side. And to hear that when we're talking about an institution that still prides itself on what it's doing for these young men, I thought was very admirable.
All right, punt down. It'll be Oregon State taking over just outside the 40 now, and for the Beavers, it's what Rob Akey really emphasized all week. We played the sound from him early in the game tonight. I really admire him for continually hammering home it's about the players. It's about the players. It's about their experience. And think about, there's only 2 home games left for the Oregon State Beavers after tonight. So for the men, the young men that are out of eligibility, whatever year that is now, but you want them to finish in the best possible way.
I mean, that yesterday's conversation with Rob Akey, I'll get to that a little bit more here in a second.
All right. Play up the middle, gets 5.
Third string quarterback Tristan enters the game. But what, like I was saying, what Rob Akey said, it's about football here. We're talking about football, but something bigger than football happened. A man lost his job, his livelihood, his family's affected. The whole team is emotionally, and he really said Sunday and Monday was about them.
This is a little game action. That's Cornell Hatcher on the run, but the game action for the quarterback, Tristan Tia. He's from Livermore, California, which is the east end of the Bay Area, Northern California.
kind of thought it was interesting the way he talked to us too about, he likened it to a funeral. He talked about that and like a grieving process, and that was what Sunday and Monday was. And he said, and then I had to flip the switch. I had to say, this is about these men, and Tuesday we had to get back to work.
Yep. And it's become something that, as this sport, bluntly at this level, has become more professional. This is what happens. You've had, and this started back in March when Stanford made either February, March, Stanford made a coaching change, but you have 8 already at FBS, 8 coach changes.
Well, Tim Skipper down at UCLA, since that change, has won his first 3.
Yeah, and how about this, Ryan? UAB upsets Memphis, number 22 in the country, with Alex Mortensen at the head coach. And Frank Reich, I believe they were putting on Florida State earlier today. So sometimes like that new blood can inject some stuff. And, you know, the other part that I think people will forget is when the head coach goes, the assistants are most likely to go. So these guys are sitting here working their butts off to help these kids, as Coach Akey talked about, the kids, knowing that they have to go home to their wives and their kids and say, we may have to move, but I'm still committed to these guys here. Yeah. It's one of the unfortunate and really tough parts about college football, but it really speaks to these coaches at Oregon State and their level of commitment,
their character, their integrity to the young men. But also, like anything, you know, they're putting things on tape too. Look what we were able to do. This may give a rejuvenated kind of effort to the fact that Rob Akey could be a heck of a head football coach too.
Cornell Hatcher on the carry, and that, you know, that's the reality. Nigel, you just said it beautifully. Nigel's been through it himself as a coach, but I mentioned yesterday Rob Akey, Alex Smith, the former quarterback, is a wonderful guy. Just did a podcast recently where his college coach Urban Meyer was on, and Urban Meyer talked about how at Ohio State he would bring players to his house and have meals with members of his staff. And Urban Meyer's point was, as Alex relayed it, I don't know about that, Hankerson gets carried, that, and it was important for the players to understand that, you know, their performance, if the performance wasn't there, the staff members wouldn't be just me. It's going to be a lot of other people that are going to go too.
Yeah, it's just a larger story to all that as we hit the 2-minute timeout here with the Beavs dominating this second half.
They're trying to get Hankerson 200 yards there. He just had to carry. He's a 192. It's Oregon State's night to smile, and we invite you to stay tuned for the final 2 minutes of the game, presented by the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. As we head into the final 2 minutes, here's our snapback replay presented by the Active Cash Credit Card from Wells Fargo.
Pretty fun stuff here in the second half by Anthony Hankerson. 4 touchdowns, explosive, tough, physical, and fast. This was a fun night for Zero. He's had a bunch.
Yeah. And it's all brought to you by the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card. Be a 2%er. Earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases. Terms apply.
Still in the game, probably because the opportunity for 200 yards.
It's the only thing I can think of. He's at 192. And Tristan Tia gives him the ball again, and that, you know, creates uneasy feelings in a lot of levels. I would assume there's something in Oregon State about rewarding Hankerson, who's been a really tough guy.
He has.
He's carried a lot of load.
Yeah, and it's just a simple thing, you know. They're not trying to pour anything on or anything. They're running the football, and here they're going to go for it on 4th down. I expect Anthony Hankerson to get the rock and get a chance at that 200-yard marker, which would be huge in this bounce-back game for the senior.
And Lafayette linebackers all looking at Hankerson, so Tia throws the ball to the near side and gets the 1st down, which will keep Oregon State's possession alive.
And realistically, they can take a knee here.
They can, you're right. That's Jay Drummer on the catch.
And get their first victory of the year.
And a chance to feel good. They'll have a bye week, their first bye week.
And then look at the Pac-12
and then
matchup.
The Cougars of Washington State will be here in 2 weeks. This is going to be the Hankerson give, I would assume. If he's in the game, this is wide. Can he get his 200? Yes, he does. So that will push Hankerson over 200 on his 25th carry. And that is the 14th 200-yard game for an Oregon State runner since 1996. They've had some terrific running backs here. Of course, Steven Jackson heads the list, but you go back, Ken Simonton, where it kind of started, Jamar Jefferson, Jacquizz Rodgers.
Yep. It's a good line of running backs that have come out of Corvallis, Washington, or Corvallis, Oregon, for sure.
And so this should be the final snap. And it will be a handoff to Skylar Jackson. And that's fitting, isn't it? Steven's son, Skylar Jackson, gets the carry. And there it is, Rob Akey and his team. The coaching changes, staff changes that were made. Assignment changes, probably the best to say. As Rob Akey visits with John Traxel.
There's Jabari Johnson.
Jabari Johnson, yep.
Yeah. Really solidified himself, I think, as a leader at the end of last week, and I think it pushed through this week. And when they needed somebody the most to step up in this football game to get them over the top and get them that feeling of victory, him and Anthony Hankerson truly did it.
Well, it's the wee hours of the morning in much of the country. NFL pregame shows have probably started somewhere. And so people will look at the score and go, that's what we thought would happen.
Yeah.
This is not how it happened. Exactly.
Yeah, people would not believe they saw 35 unanswered points scored in the second half after they were down 13-10 in that first half.
All right, I heard Rob Akey, Nigel.
He did. He said he feels better. You said you wanted to agitate your team at halftime.
Yes.
So what did you say to get these guys so agitated that they exploded in the third quarter?
They did. I just reminded them what the good things that they had done and the good things that were out there. They just pay attention to the parts they needed to finish. And I was proud of them. They came out and they fought hard and got it to end up the way they were supposed to look like. It didn't look like that for a while, but they got it the way they were supposed to. They finished. I think they feel better. And I'm the happiest guy in the world that these guys are smiling again. They deserve it. They've been through a lot. And so to see them smile, I was fired up.
Well, you didn't see they were doing jumping jacks behind you right there, too. So, yeah, they're not just smiling, but and you got the fans out here on the field. You know, how about your quarterback number 1B, right? Jabari Johnson. He came out on the field. How proud were you of how he performed out here with his first extended time?
Well, I thought it was awesome what he did, and he made some good plays happen, and he had a good way about him. I think we've got a good situation there we can keep building off of. I'm excited for these guys.
Well, we better get out of here before we get agitated. Congratulations on the win,
Appreciate you, Nigel. Thanks. Y'all be good. Go Beavs.
Well, it's the students that are doing this, and I tell you, you think about what other coaches, I mean, my gosh, James Franklin made an appearance this morning, and that was huge news, and what he went through last week, and then you see a team where they're 0-7, and it's a small representation, but still they care. That's a great thing.
Well, listen, anybody who plays this game wants to compete. I mean, that's what we do. We compete at everything.
Well, Anthony Hankerson, you see him on the right. He has competed big time. 204 and 4 touchdowns. Nigel?
Well, right now we got a madhouse because my man went off, especially in the second half. 204 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. You were man possessed. What happened in the second half where everything opened up?
Man, just first of all, I want to give my thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But second half, that was all my O-line, baby. Hey, they laid it down on the line today, and you can't ask for nothing more. You feel me?
Well, things really opened up, too, when Jabari Johnson came in at quarterback.
Yes,
how
sir.
proud are you of that young man, everything he's been through, and how he performed tonight?
No, yeah, man, he just showing what he already had. He's extremely great in the legs, man. He's a selfless player. I feel like we got a lot of selfless guys in our locker room. And,
Great job tonight. Congratulations. Enjoy the bye, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. Go Bees!
Well, it's a night you can say that. It's a night to say go Beavs. Oregon State, they had been close. We mentioned at the end of the first half tonight what they hadn't done was finish, and Rob Akey used that word. They finished in the second half. Well, that does it for everybody at Corvallis. Thanks to our team, Jason Arminio, our producer, Scott Barkey, our director, with Ryan Leaf, Nigel Burton, Ted Robinson. Good night. They are happy Beavers in Corvallis.